comms nerds out there will have seen that Meta just missed their earnings goal for the previous quarter, and they themselves have said this is down to changes within Apple and iOS, whether device IDs can actually be set. Device ID, as it kind of insinuates, is an alphanumeric string that allows that to be tied to a particular device, which you can imagine has changed over a particular period of time. You might have a phone for 1 to 4 years in some instances, whereas a cookie is refreshed every 30 days. So Facebook now having to rely heavily on pretty much only cookies has meant that their attribution model has suffered. So they can't deliver the same kind of performance that they were to their advertising clients in the past. And that's going to be a scary situation if you're at Meta right now. I think 98% of their business comes from advertising. It's probably why they've changed their name to Meta, so they can start selling more Oculus devices and really get hardware in people's hands. And I think also there's something very interesting about Instagram allowing NFTs within their feeds, right? Again, an Ethereum wallet, a Web3 wallet, is unlikely to change, particularly if you use it frequently. And then being able to tie an Ethereum wallet to DAG wallet, whatever it may be, to an Instagram account, then kind of gives them that replacement for the device ID, which has been lost in the last quarters. And I'll lean on you on this one, Chandru, but really a device ID isn't too, or device ID, a cookie ID, alphanumeric strings essentially, isn't too different to the way an NFT displays a particular image, right?
That's right. It's pretty much in the same vein. So I think the future would then be to pseudo anonymize the data that's associated with a person. This is what we are moving towards, and a device ID was essentially pseudo anonymizing what data is attached to a person. So which is what we will have, the same kind of effect that we will have with an NFT as well.
So do you think like wallets are really going to be the key to the future of advertising, kind of wallets as an identifier, which sounds a bit scary, but isn't key to the future
Absolutely.
of advertising?
Wallets can be the potential solution for the cookie problem that the world is about to face once third-party cookies will be deprecated. So how we could move ahead is by tying NFTs present in the wallets, in the Web3 wallets, and associate them with user data. So we will only associate data with a string, which is essentially pseudo-anonymization. We will not be associating that with a person, a named person, whether that's Ben, Sholi, or Chandru, or whoever else. We don't need to associate data with a person. As long as, and this is where the concept of zero knowledge proof comes in, where, let's say we try to walk into a pub, the person, the security at the security guard at the pub would ask you for an identification. And if somebody were to present their driving license, the security personnel is interested in knowing whether you meet the age criteria to enter the pub or not. He or she is not interested in knowing how many points you have on your license, whether you're allowed to drive a car or a motorcycle. That's not the point of interest. So this is the concept that we will have to take forward by saying, what amount of data is required for a specific use case, and how do we restrict that company or that party from using or accessing only that amount of data while not being exposed to irrelevant data that they should not have access to. And I think that's the key point.
I think it's also interesting to consider sovereignty of data in this whole argument. So the main problem with most of what Google has done over the last however many years is that it has done it without the permission of users. That is the point of GDPR, right? It's like you can give away your data if you choose to do so. The current value exchange of that is, here's some free content that has already been available for the last 20 years. That is not exactly a selling point. So I think there needs to be a reimagining of this like value exchange, which is obviously what we're here to do, bring the user into that value exchange and get them to give permission for that data to be transferred to other people and rewarding them for that. That is the power of crypto, and that is something that has been borne out over the existence of Bitcoin in the beginning and then other cryptocurrencies after that, is the ability to reward people for good behavior and reinforce that good behavior. And I think that is something that has not existed within advertising at all. Obviously, there's been a big incentive to not be a good actor if you are collecting data from people for free and then effectively monetizing it. That is a big incentive not to ask for permission. So I think the GDPR and other privacy compliances have come into place basically to correct that, but there still isn't really a solution to go beyond that. And that is kind of what we're suggesting, is that the user is a sovereign over their data, and they can permission that data towards advertisers for them to target products towards them, and then they will get rewarded for that. It kind of sounds like a very simple mix, but it's something that just doesn't happen right now.
That's true. And when we talk about regulation and GDPR specifically, the most abused concept of GDPR is the use of legitimate interest. You know, legitimate interest has been used in so many ways to bypass what should have been consent. So users should consent to their data.
So really quick, I'm going to mute them. If you guys are new right now, this is Alchemy. They really specialize in ads and how the future of advertisements is going to connect with the businesses. So let's say I need ads on my website. They are the ones that's going to tie how that works and how it talks to my side and then how it reaches the end user side. It's really interesting because they're saying that a lot of issues right now with advertisements is it gets lost in the shuffle. People aren't even actually getting the impressions that they're paying for. So they plan to address that using Constellation's hypergraph network, as well as obviously the blockchain technology.
Very big difference to the current ecosystem, but just the kind of implications of that for the user are huge. Very big difference.
Yeah, and I think we're essentially
just the
providing the rails for people to get involved in the internet value exchange, and also then incentivizing people to get involved. And really, if you kind of zoom out on a macro level, what we're saying here is there's now a ecosystem that is built on respect, understanding, transparency, and fairness. And the reason that we get so excited about that is because that is then finally using a token for utility. You know, it means that real businesses in the real world that earn real revenue outside of just like retail crypto speculation can use this token for a service that they do every single day, that the service is the reason they exist. And this service amounts to, across all of its constituent parts, $554 billion. So it's not an insignificant liquidity pool we're talking about. We saw some budgets from some big crypto companies last week, and I think in November 2021, Crypto.com spent $14.5 million on advertising. That is like a brand's budget for an entire year. So not only are we providing rails for the existing market, we're going to be providing rails for the crypto market, which as of recording is the tune of $1 trillion. A lot of that is spent on marketing. There is a significant amount of liquidity to provide liquidity within our system to allow for the rewards to take place. So we are effectively saying that this state channel is underpinned by advertiser marketing budgets, advertiser liquidity to allow this to work perpetually in the exchange of fiat for data for services. So it's not something that is unsustainable, as we've kind of seen projects do that of late, kind of unsustainable APYs that have yet led to kind of stuff unwinding or not working correctly. So we are hugely excited about the promise of utility, and really we're kind of calling it utility season, right? It's what we're moving into, kind of people being able to use tokens for something that's not just staking, swapping, whatever it may be, you know? So actually delivering a service using a blockchain, which doesn't happen very often anywhere. So I think hopefully that perspective on the future made a lot of sense. We are very excited. We've all got our favorite t-shirts on today. It's been amazing to be here at HyDef'. One thing that we also just wanted to mention for any Constellation fans, any Alchemy fans, any fans of any project that's building on the hypergraph is that we will be hosting an Alchemy landing party in a number of different locations. So at the moment we will be visiting Paris, Berlin, London, and Amsterdam. So stay tuned for dates of when we'll be in town. We'd love to see as many of you as possible to share a beer, to talk things all hypergraph, to really just go deep on the future of what the hypergraph's going to make possible. So from us, thank you very much for having us. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. I know there's some amazing content lined up. And yeah, thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Let's go to Amsterdam.
Amazing. Clearly, those are some smart guys. I feel like they're family, considering how often we talk with them as two companies come together to solve, as I said, one of the biggest, if not the biggest problem that plagues Web 2. And really, one of the things that blew me away is when I was flying here, I actually had a chance to check out their tech demo that's on YouTube. And I encourage everybody to see how they're utilizing state channels and snapshots effectively for microtransactions. And really, if you think about what blockchain brings to the market, fractionalizing microservices, microtransactions, microinvestments opens a whole porous opportunity to bring in things like this real-time bidding advertising environment to challenge what has been centrally owned by the big guys up to this point, which brings a lot of people into the value exchange. So keep your eyes on Alchemy Exchange. I'm so excited as they're one of our platinum sponsors, and I really appreciate that. When we think about microtransactions, I often think about this new metaverse, right? The metaverse, the only way this is going to work from a peer-to-peer kind of global exchange is that you have to fractionalize micro moments. And that requires distributed ledger technology that can scale. And so for that reason, we're really excited to announce a partnership with Savana. Savana is our newest partnership that is focused on metaverse gaming. It's a metaverse gaming platform that is omni-chain. And so while they're brand new, I don't have too many details to share about it outside what we're going to show today. One of our newest guys, Mike Butcher, who you're going to hear about from a little bit later today, was the reason why they brought him into the fold. So this shows the areas that we're expanding. So while it seems like a weird bridge between Alchemy Exchange and what they're doing from fractionalized advertising, that same sort of power is what's going to allow the metaverse to really allow those micro moments to come to life. So with that, we're really proud to showcase this video provided by Savana.
Hi there, my name is Jack O'Neill. I'm the CEO for Onekin Labs. Joining me today is my Chief Tokenization Officer, Mark Payton. He's going to be talking to you about some of the technology that we're building in partnership with Constellation that we are extremely excited about. Before we get into that, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about our company, Onekin Labs. Onekin is a Web3 gaming studio and development shop building infrastructure and technology which powers our Savana metaverse, as well as the producer of live services-driven games which are accessible inside of the metaverse. At Onekin, we operate according to a few core principles. The first of which is that we build ecosystems, not products. We're focused on building powerful yet simple systems from which sustainable, more complex systems can evolve. We want to provide real utility to establish sustainability and foster composability and accessibility. Second, we build and empower the creation of experiences which put fun and community first. All of our games and metaverse experiences will have free-to-play offerings. And we're focused on creating infrastructure that reduces friction and improves the user experience at every opportunity. Lastly, we strive to act as we call it proper degens. What that means is that we diligently maintain market-leading security solutions and appropriate safeguards for our users. We support and exemplify responsible decentralization and community ownership. And we build sustainable tokenomics and treasury management practices based on established economic principles. Our leadership team has over 30 years of experience in the gaming industry with a track record of creating live services and subscription gaming products for the top gaming franchises in the world, played by millions of users each day. And today we're here to talk to you about Savana and the underlying tech. But before you hear me drone on anymore, I have a short video which will give you a little taste for what Savana is all about. Well, I hope that showed you that Savana does indeed find the fun. That's mostly due to the fact that Savana is focused on community. We have over 250 partner NFT collections integrated into our metaverse,
How
which
interesting.
represent the top NFT communities in the Solana ecosystem. This gives us a reach of over 300,000 active Web3 users. And we're super excited about our metaverse and games, but we're here to talk tech. And so now I'll turn it over to Mark to tell you a little bit about what we're building with Constellation.
Thanks, Jack. And as Jack mentioned, we couldn't be more excited about this partnership with Constellation. It's a game changer for the Web3 gaming space, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about why. At Onekin, we use distributed ledger technologies for multiple blockchains to unlock the full potential of decentralized systems. The layer 0 consensus model of the Constellation network enables the cryptographically secure throughput of data, which will power our omni-chain infrastructure products. The Web3 gaming ecosystem is propagating over multiple blockchain protocols due to the unique advantages of the varying technologies. Onekin infrastructure products are designed to connect games with users irrespective of protocol. Game producers and developers alike will benefit from the productized omni-chain tools and services that Onekin make available, such as NFT composability systems, digital entitlement systems, Web3 loot, reward, and achievement systems, omni-chain matchmaking, and other essential Web3 gaming infrastructure. Users will benefit from the direct access to Web3 games that are built on any blockchain protocol using our omni-chain infrastructure solutions. The product that we are most excited about working together on is our inter-protocol marketplace. The marketplace we are developing in partnership with Constellation is optimized for the Web3 live service gaming ecosystem, with infrastructure that is designed to provide direct access to NFTs and digital entitlements across multiple blockchain protocols. Our platform provides users with the infrastructure required to purchase an NFT anywhere in the Web3 ecosystem using token from multiple blockchain protocols. This is accomplished through an omni-chain market making system that, in summary, debits the buyer for their token spent on one protocol and then credits them for the digital asset they purchased on another protocol. The Constellation network is designed for wide open networks and concurrency, and we will be leveraging this layer 0 technology to power the settlement of transactions that are concurrent across multiple blockchain protocols on this marketplace. We are excited to be innovating at the front line of distributed ledger technology and are thrilled to be in partnership with the Constellation network to power this upcoming Web3 gaming generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch our presentation. We couldn't be more excited as we've reiterated about our partnership with Constellation. Please check out our games at savana.world, as well as our new game Rug Revenants, which will be launching on Magic Eden's Launchpad on August 14th. Follow us across our socials at SavanaDAO and at Rug Revenants. And please feel free to reach out to me by email, Twitter, or Telegram if you would like have any questions, would like to learn more, or are interested in partnering with us. Thanks again for your time and have a wonderful weekend.
Take care.
Bye.
Well, hello, everybody. Isn't Savana awesome? I'm so happy to be working with them in 1K Labs. So they are a new ecosystem partner of ours. So yay! And by the way, my name is Andrea Mullaney. I'm in charge of the marketing department at Constellation. And I love my job, you guys. I have to tell you, marketing's easy when you're marketing a product you love. And I'm coming to you from very sunny, very hot Texas. I'm not in LA, sadly, but I'm holding down the fort in the back end. And I'm actually here to award some prizes. I know you guys may have seen our crazy prize awards promoted on Twitter. And I'm about to award some. So I'm going to be awarding prizes 2 times today, right now and in the first half of the show, and then later in the second half. We're giving away 6 prizes. So 3 will be right now and 3 later. And the prizes are 1,500 LTX tokens, which is great. Those are pretty valuable. And then 25,000 DAG tokens. That's even better. That's crazy. And 1 DTM. So we're giving away 2 sets of these. And for those of you who don't know what a DTM is, it's a door traffic miner.
These guys
It's
are
a hardware
going
device that's
hard
also
with
a
these
data
prizes.
validator node on our network. It collects foot traffic data and rewards you for collecting it. We've recently announced a partnership with Foursquare, who buy this data to use it for ground truth validation of the location data that they gather. And DTMs sell for around $5,500. And with a DTM, you get daily DAG rewards right away, and then you can participate in data bounties later to sell your data. So it's a pretty valuable prize.
No, she said
And
25,000.
we do have another prize we're giving away. It's a Twitter exclusive prize of 5,000 DAG for anyone who retweeted the tweet we sent out, and you still have time, and who logs in today. But you need to go back to that tweet and then like take a login screenshot and post it on the tweet, and we'll just pull randomly from there. And we'll probably do that on Monday. Anyway, without further ado, let's pick some winners. Okay, so to qualify, everyone had to register and then log in today. I've literally just pulled a spreadsheet of all the logged in attendees, and we have like 850 so logged in, which is great.
25,000 DAG is worth $2,700, so they're not.
Anyway, so what I'm
skimping.
doing, I have a random number generator that pulls a number, and I'm going to match that number to a row in the spreadsheet. Okay, so we've got the random number generator here.
No problem, crazy.
And
yeah, it's an all-day event. I'll be here.
Number 129. Bingo. All right, let's see who's number 129.
RJ.
Okay, I'm just going to read. So I have names and emails of everyone. I'm just going to read the name. Oh, okay. Now the winner, the first prize is 1,500 LTX. So this is the winner of the 1,500 LTX prize. It is Mr. Scott Lining. Lining. Scott Lining. You have won 1,500 LTX.
1,500 LTX is a G.
Yay, Scott. All right, I'm going to highlight this name so I remember.
Congrats, Scott.
Scott Lining. And what I'll do is email the winners on Monday from my personal, my work Constellation email address from Andrea Mullaney to reach out to you to coordinate, distributing your prize. Okay, let's do number 2. So number 1 was Scott Lining. Number 2 is number 578. Let's see who 578 is. Okay, let's go down, scroll. Sorry, guys. 578 is dun. Okay, Mr. Nathan Peters. Guess what you won? You won 25,000 DAG. Nathan Peters from Canada has won 25,000 DAG.
Peters, that's
so
an
Scott
amazing
Lining, 1,500
prize.
LTX. Nathan Peters, 25,000 DAG. Congratulations. Okay, and
that's
now the third prize is the DTM.
The door traffic miner.
Let me do another little.
Let's win the door traffic
here.
miner.
Okay, let's see. 696.
What's up, Chevy?
Number 696.
We just chilling today, guys.
696 is
RJ.
Eli Ankou. Ankou. Eli Ankou. You have won a door traffic miner. Congratulations.
Those are some nice prizes.
All right. So there we go. So I will reach out. Congratulations, all 3 of you. And I will reach out to you on Monday with information on how we just need to find out a little more, and we'll award you your prize. Okay. So
hopefully you win the later one.
Without further ado, we do have our next panel up, which is the IoT and Web3 panel, and our panelists are waiting in the green room. But I want to first introduce you to Ben Jorgensen. He's our CEO. Most of you probably know him already. And he's going to be introducing the IoT panel. So let's see if we can get Ben.
Hello, everybody. I'm here. Thanks, Andrea. That was great. Congrats to everybody that won. Hi, everybody. I'm Ben Jorgensen. I'm the CEO of Constellation. Thanks for showing up today. This is pretty incredible. Being on site in LA, it's like seeing the energy is something that is absolutely amazing. I'm going to save a lot of my talk until a little bit later today. So this isn't really about me, but this is the IoT Web3 panel. So I'm going to introduce this panel. Amazing individuals have showed up today from Helium, IoTex, CalChip, and Michael Brandt from Constellation. So
Are those guys streamed in right now? There we are.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey guys. Good morning or good afternoon.
Hey.
Thank you so much. So let's kick this off. So everybody kind of gets a context. We put together an amazing panel on IoT. And before we really dive into the meat of it all, I think each one of you represents a essential piece in the IoT space. So maybe we'll go around the room, if you will, make a brief introduction to yourself, your role, what your company does. We'll keep it there, and then we'll dive into how you guys all fit into this. So maybe I'll start with TJ. You want to kick it off?
Great, sure. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate the time and for bringing us into this. We're really excited about the panel today. Good to meet everybody. I'm TJ. I'm the president and co-founder of CalChip Connect. My background, I've been in the IoT space for over 8 years. We founded CalChip Connect in 2020, really to focus on being able to provide to the market easily deployable IoT solutions. And then in the summer of 2020, we got introduced to Helium. And
do you guys see the delay in his mouth? I've had this issue for the longest time and found out that it is your DSLR camera and a mic that you're using does not, like the mic comes in first, the data comes in first, and then the DSLR camera lags a little bit. So that's why you have that discrepancy. And unless you have like a mixer to delay your audio, you're going to have that issue. It's really interesting.
Blockchain technology to bring into the portfolio. So we're also, working with Constellation and the DTM and looking at various other products we can bring into the portfolio. We're headquartered out of Warminster, Pennsylvania, so just about 45 minutes north of Philadelphia. We've got a 17,000 square foot warehouse. And what we do is we work with partners from all over the world to bring in product into the warehouse and bundle and create, again, easily deployable solutions. We call them plug and play solutions. So again, look forward to the panel today. Ben and the Constellation team, thank you for bringing us into this, and look forward to having a good time these next 45 minutes here. So,
yeah, thanks, TJ. That was great. Joey, maybe we hand it over to you since TJ already kind of mentioned your relationship with CalChip.
Yeah, so Helium, if anyone's not aware, is where we built this sort of big decentralized wireless network infrastructure and sort of protocol to enable a lot of that. I'm coming here today as a technical director at the Helium Foundation. So we're the nonprofit that oversees the project, the blockchain, the grants program.
Is everyone running delayed?
Governance, sort of every little piece of that.
What the hell?
So we work a lot with core developers, make sure that the project is progressing, and we're sort of adding new functionality and bolstering the sort of enterprise grade
ultra soft
value of the network. Yeah, we're totally remote team, so no headquarters for us. I'm sort of calling in remote today. So yeah, we're global, and yeah, I don't know. That's us. We'll get into all the fun stuff here really quick.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. Maybe going into core developers, I'll hand it over to Larry. Larry, fun to see you on here. Actually, funny story of Larry and I. We met on a panel in Dubai. We had a lot of synergies in our conversation on the panel. We'd never met each other before, and then off the panel, we actually started to form a relationship and a friendship. So, really great to have you on here. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Great to be with a bunch of other blockchain and IoT enthusiasts on a Saturday morning here. I'm Larry, head of business development at IoTeX. And IoTeX, we're a layer 1 blockchain. We got started back in 2017. And we've always had a vision of combining tamper-proof hardware and tamper-proof software together to enable tamper-proof applications, right? So I think everyone on this panel today is doing different flavors of this kind of token incentivized physical infrastructure. And I think it's going to be the next big thing for crypto. So, it's been a long time coming. We've all been building for several years now, but I think the attention and desire for this blockchain and IoT intersection is growing by the day. So excited to jam out with the rest of the panelists here this morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. I appreciate that. And to hand it over to Michael Brand from Constellation, who's really kind of representing his career in IoT and the DTM or door traffic miner. Michael?
Hey everyone, Michael here. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Constellation and the acting CEO of Door Technologies. We were acquired by Constellation early last year. And I've been in the hardware space in my career for about 12 years now. And Door I was running for 6 years. And for those who don't know, Door is all about data collection in the physical world. We have this box that you stick above a doorway and it counts them people walk in and out. And the latest product we created was the DTM, which combines data collection with some of the crypto platforms that Constellation was making. So as far as the IoT stack, what I'm really focused on is how can we more effectively collect data in the physical world, and also how can we more effectively distribute that data to people who need it or want it.
Well, thanks, Michael. So let's kick this off. That was a great introduction.
Of Door.
What I'm most excited about this panel is that this is a group of individuals that are actually taking blockchain beyond just DeFi, beyond just speculation of the cryptocurrency, and actually tie it into real value. And it really takes kind of all four of you in many different ways to really bring this vision to light. So I want to kick things off and kind of go around and just see how do each of you play in the IoT stack? Can anybody kind of break it down or give us an idea of how each company works together for the audience?
This guy said they have Walmart Wi-Fi.
Great. Ben, I can go ahead and jump in real quick if that works.
Yeah, thanks, TJ.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at a IoT deployment and putting a solution together and actually getting it out into the market, really there's a few different core segments or areas that make this IoT solution. There's hardware, which usually involves sensors, gateways, devices like the DTM people counter. There's networks, network servers, which are responsible for deduplicating, authenticating packets, taking that data from the devices and actually bringing it into the cloud. And then there's application layers or application servers. So these are what's responsible for actually ingesting the data through an app, right? And being able to send alerts and text messages and all of those things. And then in addition to that, you've got kind of the deployment strategy, right? So how do you take all of these different things that you've put together and actually get them into a easy to deploy model? And that evolves more around logistics, supply chain, and some of those, like non-IoT solution focused areas, but also very important for the customer experience. So when we take a look at, what's really involved in that IoT solution, the hardware, the network server, the application server, what you have to really do is work with these different partners in the ecosystem to create these solutions, right? Because some partners are really good at developing hardware and manufacturing hardware. Some partners are really good with building network servers. Some are really good with building application servers. There are some full stack companies out there that do hardware, network, and application layer efforts. And so when you think about that, it can get very, complex in the marketplace. You've got vendors all over the world that are developing devices, companies developing networks, application layers. So what we do here at CalChip Connect is we work with all those different partners in the ecosystem. And then depending on the use case or the application or the market need, we bring all these different partners together and we help create a solution that can be deployed into that market, right? So we'll take, I'll give you an example of one. So we worked with a company called Crisis Go. they've got a school safety application, and they needed a push button device that teachers could wear around their neck on a lanyard that they would push if there was like a school distress event, which, you know, happens, you know, more than it should today. But what we did is we helped actually bring in all the different pieces of the hardware. We integrated it with Crisis Go software. We tested the solution, and then Crisis Go launched that solution into the school systems around the nation. And so that's really, you know, where CalChip fits into this ecosystem is we are an agnostic distributor and service provider. We work with the hardware, the network, the application partners in the ecosystem to bring everything together and create those deployable solutions that, you know, we call plug and play. And then, you know, again, when we look at the customer experience, so again, there's the hardware, there's the bundling of all of that, but how do you actually get it into people's hands and give them a like push button setup, easy experience? And so we work with different partners to also bring that to customers, right? So that, again, as a customer, when you want to deploy a solution, you can purchase that solution, but also be able to get professional installation and other cool services that bring it all together and make it easier for you. As we think about, you know, the incorporation of blockchain into IoT, what's really exciting is if you look back, you know, prior to Helium, right, which was really the first blockchain IoT combination that was providing real world value to those users that are leveraging it. The value that it brings is that, you know, the last 8 years, companies that deployed had to spend a lot of money in CapEx to buy hardware, build the solution, and deploy that. So when you bring in blockchains like Helium or Constellation into products and into these solutions, when you deploy them, they actually, you know, mine cryptocurrency based on the network coverage you've got and various algorithms as well. And so what this is doing for the market, and this is, you know, consumers, businesses, those that purchase the hardware and the solutions actually get incentivized by creating the network. And this is a new concept, but ultimately it's brought a lot of value to the market, because now when you're looking at spending, you know, $500 on a solution, and you know you'll make some of that back by deploying it, it brings extra value, and you can actually recoup your investment more quickly than that model. And then, of course, you know, when you incorporate blockchain with IoT, you always get that traceability that, you know, blockchain brings with it, additional security, and some of those added layers that, you know, in historical IoT, there have been gaps in before. So ultimately, you know, really excited about this new revolution taking place. I think as you look at Web 3.0 and IoT coming together, the value that it's bringing to the market, through incentivization, through added security, through added traceability, these are all things that are going to provide to even bring more value into the market. So those are just some initial thoughts, Ben.
Yeah, just to jump on that too, you know, kind of with Door, as we started off as one of those vertically integrated companies that, you know, tries to choreograph all these moving parts. I think a lot of people see IoT and just think of the box, but they don't realize all of the other things, especially customer experience. And, you know, that's what put us ahead of the game when we created our product. Like, people don't realize we put an accelerometer on the device, and if someone mounts the device crooked, it actually automatically hits our servers, sends them an email that says, hey, you need to straighten out your device, right? So thinking all the way down to that, and logistics, you know, we have custom hardware at the factory where they scan it and send it out to the customers that the device knows where it ends up, right? So all of these little things that actually sometimes takes more effort and time and engineering resources to build than the box itself. I argue almost always. And so replacing those different aspects with crypto has also been really cool. Watching Helium has been exciting. You know, our original device, you know, we had the sensor and a cellular base station to contact our servers. And once Helium came out, said, oh my God, we can get rid of the cellular base station and just run it directly on the device. So that's really where the partnership started. And then taking, you know, notes from their playbook, how can we use those economies of scale to collect and sell the valuable data that's coming out of these sensors? So it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of moving parts. And I always love talking about, you know, all the things that aren't hardware related that have to do with selling a hardware product, right? Like sending batteries to other countries, right? That's been one of our biggest things, is just logistics and shipping and all of these things. So yeah, it's cool.
Muted, Ben. You're muted.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
hear.
I'm not sure if
You might be
the
muted there.
audio on Ben's side is working. Yeah. But just to piggyback on that, right? Like I think what I think everyone in this space is, touching a lot of different areas, right? There's connectivity, there's data, there's all these different forms of infrastructure that are required to connect hardware and software together. And doing it in a decentralized way makes things a lot more complicated, right? So I think, there's a common kind of framework of thinking about like the application infrastructure life cycle, right? When you build new infrastructure, it's going to enable certain types of applications. Over time, those applications are going to evolve and demand more infrastructure, and that infrastructure is built and enables more applications to be built, right? So I think comparing where blockchain and IoT is versus where DeFi is, a lot of the pillars of DeFi are already built. Starting with DeFi Summer back in 2020, you have your lending, your borrowing, your DEXs. I think the same thing is happening with the blockchain and IoT space today. I think, the concept of bringing real world data from trusted devices to the chain, that requires device identity, it requires device oracles, it requires like so many different pieces of infrastructure, right? And, I think everyone on the call today is building some form of infrastructure, whether it's more hardware focused, software focused, connectivity focused. All of these things are going to be composable in the future. And just like Uniswap was the foundation of DeFi that kicked off yield farms and all these different types of variations of DeFi, I think the infrastructure being built today is going to serve as that foundation for all of these real world, step-in like projects, right? That you're pulling data from mobile devices, all sorts of devices, right? And I think there's a lot of big categories of use cases around proving what people do in the real world to earn tokens. I think that's a huge concept. And also giving people ownership of public utilities like Helium has done with their LoRa networks, right? So just getting started here for sure.
Thanks, Larry. And Joe, to kind of pivot over to that, Joey, what are some of the massive use cases that the Helium Foundation is exploring and really backing to, create this exponential shift?
Yeah, so touching a little bit on what TJ was talking about, like LoRaWAN is something that has existed for a relatively long time, right? But what you were seeing before Helium existed was very frequently that these deployments would be made in sort of small clusters. So you own a warehouse, you go deploy some gateways, you can do stuff inside of your warehouse. But very much like the way that the Wi-Fi works inside your home, you go down the block, you're not connected to your Wi-Fi anymore. You're within range of a network, but it's not yours. And so Helium has been this opportunity to sort of glue together what would be a lot of different networks. So now we have a globally ubiquitous network. It's actually the largest globally ubiquitous network of any kind. And so now we're starting to see this unlocking of use cases that just were previously impossible for devices like these. So asset tracking is something that's a huge opportunity now. That was just something that anyone who was working in the LoRaWAN space commonly disregarded, just because they didn't have coverage on freeways, they didn't have coverage, down the street, outside their warehouses, things like that. I spend quite a bit of time working on the Helium coverage map project, and it's one of the coolest things for me. I was doing it this morning, is to pull up that coverage map and just look at like highways like actively getting filled in as people drive with these little GPS trackers down the street. And that's a huge opportunity from the data usage standpoint, because these are devices that people don't need data like once an hour. They need data every like 15 seconds. So the data usage standpoint on this type of use case is huge. Outside of that, I get super excited about smart cities, smart agriculture, applications in environmental science. Like there's a ton of stuff that Helium unlocks for people, both due to the sort of the easy UX that comes with setting up a Helium gateway, as well as
what is happening?
The sort of interest and opportunity around like participating in this blockchain.
Thanks, Joey. I'll kind of dovetail on that and go to TJ. And this is really open to anybody, but I'll kick it off with TJ. Would love to hear how you guys all think about this. Is this concept of smart cities, and really kind of the IoT space in general has been around for 20 years, if I'm getting close, over under a little bit. How is this different? And how are we actually going to see smart cities come alive, and not just the concept of having virtual reality in your city, but actually seeing connectivity? Why is this different than the first IoT boom in the early 2000s?
Oh, great question. So when you think about a smart city, and you think about all of the different applications within a smart city, you've got cellular based applications. And that's really where, in my opinion, smart cities started getting its foundation back, 20 years ago, by creating cellular connectivity infrastructure to be able to allow people and things to communicate through cellular in these cities and provide data to where it needed to go. One of the gaps with that is, when you think about all the different types of connectivity that can bring value to a smart city, you've got your typical cellular devices, right? With phones, laptops, smart watches, those types of things. But the challenge is that those really, they allow you to connect and they allow you to interface with the world, but they don't really gather certain types of data that allow people and users to create more useful outcomes. And so when you think about the IoT after cellular in smart city, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got Bluetooth that has come up, you've got Zigbee that's primarily used in like the home security industry. And so all these have played an important role in shaping kind of the smart city data-driven world. With bringing in LoRa, right? Which LoRa again, LoRaWAN is a specific protocol very similar to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, in the sense that it's a protocol that's got RF tied to it. But the real value of LoRaWAN is it can travel very long distances compared to the other protocols. And so it does really well in areas where there's a lot of congestion, a lot of building materials, things that are underground. So when you start thinking about those types of applications where, cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth don't do a very good job of penetrating those, that's really where LoRaWAN comes in, which, again, the Helium network is built on LoRaWAN today. That's where that comes in, and again allows the smart city to become more full in the sense of getting data and providing additional connectivity. And so when you think about like these LoRaWAN sensors, you've got water meters underground connecting by LoRa. You've got sensors that can monitor temp, humidity, water leak inside of buildings. You've got asset tracking solutions, LoRa based, that can track buses on different routes within these cities. And again, it's a complementary technology to all of the other, cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth type of protocols. And so as we think about the smart city moving forward, as we think about the network that, Helium has created, where it's not so much based on, private individuals or private networks being stood up, but now we've got, essentially a nationwide network that's building around LoRaWAN, thanks to Helium. And so now what we'll be able to do is connect these LoRaWAN sensors within these smart cities and create more meaningful data points, be able to track more things, and be able to gather that data and create new algorithms, new efficiencies for people and for the city, municipalities, and businesses, and ultimately drive, I think, a whole new, market of innovation coming forward within the smart city space.
Thanks, TJ.
So excited about it.
Go for it. Yeah, jump in there, Joey.
Just big plus one. Like the opportunity's endless, and TJ, you just nailed like all of that cool smart city stuff.
I'm going to jump over to Michael and Larry. I would love to, Michael, first, I don't know if you knew this, but there was a memo that you had to wear a black t-shirt. Don't worry about it. Next time we'll get that figured out.
We'll get one.
But
it's
Michael,
coming in the mail.
It's coming in the mail. I love it. A Helium one. Larry, Michael, how do you guys see cryptocurrency really empowering this IoT space, making this space explode? I think that's a major differentiating factor in this IoT boom that we're going to see.
Yeah, and actually, I can kind of combine this with your last question. Yeah, I can kind of combine this with your last question a little bit too, in that I think in the last 5 years, something that's really interesting that's happened is that industry has figured out how to make lots of data useful. So I think that's what one of the missing pieces was. And now we have all these big data companies, and pretty much every enterprise company has data scientists on staff. So we're at a point now where you can ingest almost an unlimited amount of data and be able to draw insights out of it. So that goes into where we are now with the IoT boom. We're at a phase now where someone can say, hey, get me as much data as you can collect, and I can do something with it. So now we're at a phase where the roadblock is not making data useful, it's getting as much data as possible. And that's really prime for crypto economies, right? Where you can basically turn an entire community into people to help you run your infrastructure and collect your data. And you can put a money economy into that as well, like we've seen with Helium, where people are mining, and you have hundreds of thousands of people doing this. So I think we're really primed up for this new phase of technology, where the goal is let's collect as much as possible, and we know it's going to be useful.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I think, hardware and blockchain is just one of those things that makes a lot of intuitive sense, right? I think from day one here at IoTeX, we've always thought that devices and machines are going to be the largest users of blockchains in the distant future, right? And when we think about this blockchain IoT intersection, I think there's two ways to look at it. One is how blockchain is impacting the legacy Internet of Things, and how the Internet of Things is impacting blockchain, right? I think when you think about the blockchain to IoT impact, it's more obvious, right? The Internet of Things, is booming, but it's still riddled with a lot of challenges, right? Interoperability, security, privacy, all things that blockchain have some type of native benefit and can provide value to the existing Internet of Things, right? So we talk a lot about the monetization opportunities. We talk a lot about the new business models that can be created with Web3 and IoT. But I think just the security and the trust of we can look at our devices and understand that these things are working for us and not for someone else, I think that's huge, right? But I also think the more near-term opportunity is how the Internet of Things, as the other panelists have said, can be a brand new data source for blockchains, right? Just going back to the DeFi analogies, right? Like Chainlink established a single version of the truth about what the price of any crypto asset was back in 2020, which really started that whole DeFi renaissance, right? And if we have a single version of the truth about things that happened in the real world, you know, whether it's the temperature in a smart city or how many miles someone has run or what type of road someone has driven or how fast they were driving, all of this is kind of fuel for incentive mechanisms, right? Where people can earn by doing things in the real world or changing the behavior in the real world, right? So the possibilities are really endless. I think once we get past this hurdle of establishing this single version of the truth that everyone can agree on, like this actually happened in the real world, then tying token incentives is the easy part to it, right? So I think this is a challenge that everyone's working on, is how do we establish this trust? How do we grab data in a trusted way from trusted devices to fuel all these different applications we're talking about, right? So that's just kind of how I see both sides of the equation there.
Yeah, Tim, it's an all-day thing.
That's great.
I should be there in person.
I think
but
one of the, I think also one of
issues.
the skeptical things that the crypto community has around IoT is that it's too far away and it's too far in the future. But you know what? DeFi is here, so let's focus on DeFi as it pertains to, you know, currency, peer-to-peer transfer. How would you guys argue against that? Where is this IoT space in kind of the actualization of it? Are we, you know, 5 years away, 2 years? You guys all have the data. Like, give us some insights on where you kind of think that the growth will happen.
I know TJ's going to have some thoughts on this, but I'll throw some thoughts out initially, which is like, in a certain respect, like there is a certain correctness to that. Like it takes a little bit longer to build hardware and to build solutions when you're sort of like doing this end-to-end experience. However, there are a ton of solutions that exist in the LoRaWAN space already, whether it's AI-powered cameras that can relay the findings over LoRaWAN, or smart, you know, all the smart city stuff, temperature, humidity, things like that. And there are business use cases that are primed for those sensors already. So one of the easiest ones that we start to see, you know, is the asset tracking or cold chain storage. And those are areas where we're already starting to see like some really immense interest, because the scale of the Helium network is at this point basically undeniable. So you could be an existing LP WAN operator, and anyone who's not sort of looking to Helium as a sort of data partner is really missing out at that level.
Thanks, Joey.
Yeah, good. Yeah, great points, Joey. And you know, I think we're really at the bottom of the first inning when it comes to the IoT growth it's currently happening. But I think we're at the very early stages now of this exponential growth. And the reason I say that, you know, there's a few reasons. So just looking back over the last 8 years in the IoT space, you know, personally, I've seen over these last 8 years a lot of people, companies getting started, companies trying to deploy IoT, going through a lot of learnings, right? And quite honestly, a lot of the reason for that is the technology stack, the size of the semiconductor ICs, which impacts the form factor of devices, and ultimately the ability to actually create, like, you know, put these different pieces together to create the easily deployable solutions. Like that's all been a work in progress over these last, you know, 8 to 10 years, and especially the LoRaWAN space. And you've seen LoRaWAN pick up. Like the first full network was, you know, out in Europe. Now we've got Helium building, you know, all across the world. And I think the pivot point for IoT, where we kind of hit the top of the first inning, was really like just during the start of COVID, right? And I mean, if we think about that whole transformation of having to work remote, having to like deal with connectivity every day, and ultimately having to leverage technology to go drive efficiencies during this COVID time, I think has really accelerated IoT. And we've seen it over the last couple years. Consumers, businesses, to Larry's point, there's a lot of like companies coming in, doing data analytics and algorithms. And so it's all starting to come together now. And the other beautiful thing we're seeing is like the transformation in the IoT space is bringing connectivity to people that have never had it before, right? Like in Africa, South America, and some other third world countries are now starting to deploy this technology, and they're able to connect, and it's improving lives. And so again, I think we're still early on, but we've got the technology built now. There's enough companies that have, joined the bandwagon, so to say, is to be able to build these nice refined solutions, get more data, more connectivity into the world. And so again, we're early on, but we're very excited because, this is a, 10, 20, 30-year trajectory of growth that, we expect to see coming here. And again, the last 10 years has been a lot of that development, trying to get everything put together. And then, with COVID and with the introduction of helium and all these things coming together, it's really driving and I think kickstarting the early stage of growth.
Thanks, TJ. That was a really great synopsis.
Makes me want to spend money
of everything going on. It seems to me like we're still. I think that there's an argument to be made that cryptocurrency is going to help expand the space really fast. Well, the technology is early, the footprint's being built, applications are starting to come out, and people are starting to see the value. And the other thing is that the average person can't really see how much connectivity is going on. You're not really aware of it. So I think there's a fascinating shift that's happening beneath our feet. That's really exciting. I mean, it's like it's happening faster and faster than we thought. I would love to take like 30 seconds each to go through maybe any company announcements you have. You got some time. Anything you guys want to share as closing remarks? Maybe we'll start with TJ. So we started with you in the beginning.
Sure. Yeah. So, as far as looking ahead, we like to focus a lot on the customer experience here at CalChip. And so we're going to continue to work with our partners in the ecosystem to build, new innovative solutions, right? Especially that can help, support and drive usage on the Helium network. And so a lot of our focus as we move ahead is going to be working with partners to help build more solutions, whether it be an asset tracking, temp humidity, other, and get those into the market, right? So that people can leverage the networks being built. And then the other thing that we're really excited about is, the next stage of Helium, which is Helium 5G. So we're putting together solutions and, helping to, create the opportunity for customers to be able to purchase solutions and go deploy 5G in addition to LoRa, which is very exciting. So those will be kind of the two focus areas as we move ahead. And then we do offer provisioning services, which is an area that we're going to continue to focus on as we move ahead. Again, all trying to make the customer experience easier. So that's the forward looking on the CalChip side.
Thanks, TJ. Joey?
Cool. I'll sort of dovetail off of what TJ was talking about. Like the Helium network, it's not even launched the 5G stuff properly yet, but we're already looking at over 2,000 5G hotspots deployed, which is kind of mind blowing. I'll sort of throw out a couple of cool things happening on our end. One is in September, on September 20th, we're running Helium House in New York, which will be an awesome event. We ran one similarly in Austin earlier this year. And then I think the other thing that I want to call out is oftentimes all of the sort of blockchain, like, you know, somebody was touching on just like the stuff is invisible to us, like the RF around us, like you don't really get to see it. Once you start like working in the Helium project, you start to see antennas everywhere. I think if anyone's listening in that's deployed a 5G or a LoRaWAN gateway, you start looking at the roofs of buildings all over the place. But one of the cool ways to make this more tangible too is like jump on and build a sensor. So, you know, go to CalChip, go to Amazon, just pick up a dev board or a pre-built sensor. You know, one of those temperature humidity sensors are generally pretty easy to get running. And then console.helium.com is where you would go and connect that device, and you can start to make learnings about your environment around you by using these sensors and the existing Helium network that is either deployed in your area or like using your own hotspot. And what was my last thing? Oh, there's so many cool things. All right, let's call it at that. We'll come back around if we got time.
Thanks, Joey. I'll go to Michael Brand.
Yeah, so I could do a little DTM update actually, and Ben, I think this is something you're not even aware of yet. But yesterday we just got a revision of circuit boards for the DTM back from the factory. So this is going to be the final sample of the device. We'll be testing it, and if everything checks out, we're going to be moving into mass production, the DTMs. So super exciting to get that. And we're going to be distributing, you know, pictures of the board and some content around that. That's, you know, literally fresh off the press.
Thanks, Michael. Great to hear that while you're on paternity leave and still working.
Yeah.
That was great. Clearly, and you know more than me. Larry, we'll close out with you.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, what I've been up to lately is, you know, starting to incubate some interesting projects, like starting to think about the way to onboard different types of Web 2 companies and device manufacturers into Web 3, right? And it's a really interesting challenge because, you know, not every company wants to launch their own NFT or token, but they do want to plug into
Audio issues. It's a good thing we are in this live stream party together. Also to just be super quiet. Jenny, I got into Constellation because I heard about it on your channel. I'm really glad that I was able to provide awareness for this project. It's really crazy.
Check. Can you hear me on this?
Yeah, I think we
I don't think they can hear. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. I can hear you guys now. Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for the time today. It was really great seeing you all. Thank you for showing up on a Saturday. I know this is supposed to be everybody's day off, but you know what they say in crypto, you don't sleep with crypto.
No days
so
off.
no days off. So I can't thank you guys enough. This is a really great panel, really informative, a space I'm personally excited about because it really kind of it makes
What's
this
up, everyone?
Blockchain space of reality. Okay. So you guys are good to sign off. Thank you. Have a good day. I'm going to roll right into the next presentation. And I'm rolling right into the next presentation with Ashbury Legal. Another one of our great sponsors, the legal firm Ashbury Legal. They work for many reputable firms, reputable blockchain companies in the space. They represent Constellation, many of our ecosystem partners. But the video we're about to show you is not just a sponsorship video. It's really about a co-branding opportunity and a co-partnership that we're building out a new product with Ashbury Legal. So as many of you know, we did an accelerator program, 2 cohorts over the past year. Where about 75 companies went through the accelerator program, and we learned that one of the biggest issues and the most expensive issues with launching any cryptocurrency company is around the legal advisory, the legal framework needed to launch a cryptocurrency. It's a very time intensive and expensive process. And so I'm really proud to announce that the product and service that Ashbury Legal and Ryan Williams will articulate is a product that we're going to be releasing over the next couple of months, and will tie in with the third cohort of the flight program. So very excited to introduce this product. It's very educational, and it's going to make it really easy to launch your own cryptocurrency and NFT. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Ryan.
What's up, everyone? This is Ryan David Williams from Ashbury Legal. We've been outside legal counsel to Constellation since the very beginning, so I'm honored and thrilled to be here with you today, sponsoring HyDef'22. Today's a super exciting day for us at Ashbury, a day we've literally been working towards since we first launched in 2016. Since then, we've helped launch dozens of tokens, including DAG and LTX. So we know all too well that navigating the legal and regulatory complexity is way too complicated, slow, and expensive. The legal fees alone for launching a token range from $75,000 to $100,000. That's simply inaccessible for the vast majority of blockchain entrepreneurs. So we set out to change that. Today, we're excited to announce, for the first time ever, a DIY legal launch kit built specifically for Constellation datapreneurs. Think of it as your roadmap, guiding you from wherever you are now to a token launch on Lattice. The concept is simple. By churning our years of experience into actionable content, we remove the lawyers and their billable hours, saving you time and money. We're so excited for the first time ever to show you how. DIY Legal begins with the belief that our 6 years of experience launching tokens can be distilled into various forms of easy to consume, actionable content. And what you're looking at here is the beta version of our content delivery system. First, we're going to tell you everything you need to know about KYC to make sure your project stays compliant with US securities laws. Once that's out of the way, we'll give you the documents you need to raise money with a safe plus token side letter. And if you don't know what any of that means, don't worry. We will teach you everything you need to know, including what you should and should not be saying in your marketing materials. Once you've raised money, it's time to get to work. Most people in crypto know that you need to form offshore entities, but few understand why or how. We'll remove the mystery and introduce you to offshore lawyers who know exactly what you need because we've already told them. And now that your onshore and offshore entities exist and are connected through 2 different services agreements, it's time to grant tokens to your founders, employees, and advisors.
I love how it has to go
But it's
offshore.
not that simple. In order to avoid a hefty tax bill, you first need to get a token valuation done. We then use this valuation to make what's called an 83B election that could literally save you millions of dollars in taxes. And of course, we give you all the document templates and all the instructions you need to get this done. Finally, you're ready to launch your token on Lattice. We'll give you the template terms and conditions you need to do so, and a securities law memo that you can share with potential partners looking for assurances that your token is unlikely to constitute a security. And what kind of infomercial would this be without a "but wait, there's more" moment? On top of all of this great content, you'll also receive a digital Rolodex of vetted service providers that you may need to make your token launch a success. And we've already negotiated thousands of dollars in discounts on your behalf. Lastly, while we truly hope that you don't need to hire lawyers, DIY Legal purchasers will receive a 33% discount at Ashbury Legal for 1 full year. just in case. So that's it. 12 weeks and $100,000 of legal services wrapped up in 10 simple steps. But before we finish, let's take a closer look at one of these steps to give you a better sense of what's included with DIY Legal. Let's take a look at step 8, granting tokens to your team. Like everything in crypto, you know we got to include a TLDR. We also try to break up every step into manageable sub-steps. In this step 8, we're going to help you set token allocations and vesting schedules, draft and sign token award agreements, and submit 83B elections to the IRS. On the right here, you'll see a list of downloadable document templates that you'll need to complete this step. Simply click, view, download, fill out, and sign. We also want to make sure that you have contact information for any third party that we think can help you complete this step. In the case of this step 8, we recommend you use Liquify to implement and enforce your vesting schedules all on chain. But first, you need to determine how many tokens each team member will receive. And we provide data from the last 5 years to help you make that determination. Next, you'll need to establish the right vesting schedule for each recipient. Again, we provide data to inform that decision. And of course, we provide a recommendation based on our 6 years of experience. Once it's time to draft and sign the token award agreements, you can watch a video of an Ashbury legal lawyer walking you through the document, how to fill it out, what the provisions mean, and what you should be paying attention to. Let's take a look. Hey there, Ryan David Williams from Ashbury Legal. Today we're going to walk through the token award agreement. Now, this is the document that you're going to use to grant tokens to your founders, employees. Okay, enough of that guy, but you get the point. And it's the same thing for 83B elections. Documents, videos, everything you need to literally save you millions by making an 83B election. Finally, each step will include a series of FAQs and a glossary of terms to make sure you understand everything that's going on in this step. Don't know what an 83B election or a TGE is? Don't worry, you soon will. So that's it. Everything you need to launch your token on Lattice in one place. It's simple, streamlined, and cost-effective. But to be clear, it's not legal services. You are not hiring a lawyer. In fact, that's the whole point. We've designed DIY Legal so that you don't need to hire expensive lawyers. How do you get started? Go to ashburyventures.com/DIY legal to join our waitlist. All we need is your name and email address. And as a special offer to the Constellation community, the first 5 people to sign up will be invited to participate in our beta testing in exchange for a massive discount. Again, the website is ashburyventures.com/DIY legal. We're so excited to bring this product to the cryptoverse and couldn't think of a better place to launch than here at HyDef'22. See y'all on the Lattice Launchpad.
Ooh, lunch break. My food is actually on its way. I ordered some Asian. Okay, so you guys can probably see on the top right there, we have about 9 minutes. Yeah, 9 minutes and 30 seconds to grab like a drink, to grab some snacks. My food is on its way. It says it's arriving at 1:56. This guy's taking his time. I'm actually really upset. I saw a lot of people say they were able to get to LA, but I wasn't getting the information. It's got to be on my side. User error. I could have been there. Hey Matthias, haven't been into info or Constellation yet. Correct. No Constellation news yet. So we had Alchemy, and then we had like a IoT panel, and then we just had the Ashbury legal. So we're kind of chilling. We still got about 6 minutes on lunch break, so just chilling out here, guys. Bro, where's my food, son? Timothy, they just delivered your food to me. You bastard. Just joking. Let me do some of my DeFi plays and transactions. I'm gonna compound some stuff while we're waiting, since Timothy stole my food. Oh snaps, my food is here. Nice try, Timothy. No, you don't get my food. Alright, you guys are gonna watch me eat, alright? This is a watch party, shit. Whatever. I'm gonna mute you guys so you don't have to listen to me chew. This isn't some ASMR stuff, guys. Oh, I was muted. I said, you guys are lying. My food is right here. Oh, I was muted. I said, you guys are lying. My food is right here. Adam, are you really Timothy's son-in-law? Or are you guys busting my chops? Oh, nice. I hope Seifu has been treating you guys well. Seifu is your largest holding? Have you been have you been compounding or have you been taking profits? Not financial advice, I'm just conversation. Rebasing? Oh wow. We enjoy watching yours and Prado's videos. Thanks, ma'am. Yeah, obviously Prado is your Seifu champion. The dude is an absolute beast. He does like 3 live events and 2 videos a day on Seifu. Guy's an absolute monster. Doesn't stop working. I got nothing but respect for Prado. I got in on March 30th and have been rebasing and buying the whole time. Did the timer go away? I don't see the timer anymore. These guys are trolling. No, that's super cool, Adam. Glad to see that. Obviously, here's your disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, right? So do not take anything I say as financial advice. But no matter what project it is, whether it's Constellation, Lattice, Alchemy, Seifu, make sure you guys are taking risk off the table so that you guys are in the project risk-free, okay? Taking profits is a very important part of a balanced portfolio. A lot of people are always like, RJ, how are you so relaxed in certain market conditions? It's because I'm ROI'd, and so I'm just in the projects that I'm in risk-free, right? Some people are over invested, some people are over leveraged, and you know, just make sure you guys obviously take some profits off the table or take some risk off the table. I'm gonna take us out of here really quick. I want to see what is next up. So 2 o'clock, blockchain and national defense. Oh, that's huge. 2:45 is the state of the network core updates on Constellation. Then we got the future of DeFi, Anon degens. That's gonna be crazy. This thing is an all-day event, guys. Okay. This next one should be big. National defense. Let's get back on stage.
Solution that not only Constellation brings, but the entire industry.
I'm muting myself.
He's been very patient, working with me behind the scenes on tactics around how to attack defense and really get involved in more meaningful solutions further down the road. Huge fan of Savana, and so I'm really glad that Brian's here. And with that, today we are talking about national defense and decentralized solutions in blockchain. Those that may not know, August marks our 3rd year of working with the DoD. I've been personally spearheading this effort weekly. I'll tell you what, it's the hardest work I've ever done in my life, largely because the Department of Defense is not easy to work with. And there's a reason for that, right? Because they want to make sure that they cut thrice, measure thrice, cut once. you know, they're a very, very scrutinizing organization. So for us to even get them to look at what we had to offer took a lot of work. Now we're in their good graces. And as I've said many times to the people that are in this panel, my favorite part of working with the DoD is the relationships that have come out of this, right? These are wonderful people doing really exciting stuff, and they have to be believers. There's a lot of scrutiny that I mentioned, and everybody that's on this panel really sees that there is a true opportunity here, that we all want to be on the bleeding edge, which is, you know, I'm very proud to be a part of this pioneering group. So that said, I would like to introduce the panel. I'm going to go around the room. I could introduce each of you, but I'd rather have you all do it. That way, so you can talk a little about who you are and your company, and then we'll just dive into some questions. So I've got my phone here. I promise I'm not chatting with hot babes. I'm actually here to make sure I'm looking at the right questions. So we're going to start with Brian from Safinia, since he is the panel sponsor. After that, we'll go to Jim, then we'll go to Shadman, and then we'll go to Chris. So Brian, let's start with you, buddy. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Safinia.
Awesome. Thanks, Benjamin. Yeah, so Safinia is a data and analytics company. We operate primarily within the federal market. So we do everything from, you know, sort of working with clients to be able to define sort of what are their mission, you know, critical insights that they require from their data, and then work and partner with them to define, you know, what are the best means to gather the data, process that data, and sort of either push that data to trigger sort of operational decision making, or, you know, developing out visualizations for dashboarding. So we've been working, you know, with Benjamin for the last year or so. I think, you know, for us, like, blockchain is sort of, you know, sort of the next step, I think, for a lot of our clients, and they're certainly actively exploring that. And you know, with Constellation being a data-driven or data-centric blockchain, it's been a pleasure working with all of them. I'd say on a more personal level, I've been working within the federal market for about 20 years, you know, at risk of aging myself. Worked with a lot of different clients, U.S. Army, State Department, as well as some of the civilian agencies like NIH. So I have a pretty broad sort of client background. Most of the data that we work with is pretty sensitive, and it's pretty, you know, the data that sort of the systems and the projects we've worked on are pretty diverse, from radar and sensor systems to, you know, the refugee program, as well as visa processing. So a little bit about us, as well as sort of my background, and I'll shoot it over to Jim.
You rock. Hey, yeah, I just want to give some love to Jim here. You know, Jim, I've never met this gentleman in person, but I feel like we're siblings at this point, considering how many phone calls we have almost every day, it seems. And he's one of the best business development folks I've ever met in my career, and he has a great attitude. And so he's one of the reasons why it's been a delight working on this. Jim, passing it over to you, buddy.
Well, you're way too kind. So hello, everybody. I'm Jim Burke with Konami. We're a Boston-based startup. That basically what we do is we build what we call resilient hybrid data fabric that is specifically designed to address the problems with edge computing. So what we have is a distributed data management software platform that allows you to securely be able to collect, process, store, and share your data on any device over any network. It's a zero trust based platform, and zero trust is a term that's kind of loosely thrown around, but basically what that means is we treat all devices as hostile and all networks as unreliable. So with our platform, you're able to have total cradle to grave data management throughout the process. And so we have a number of different DoD projects we're doing, a wide variety, because you know, this data management problem is huge. And of course, we're doing the project with Constellation. And so, you know, as Benjamin said, every week I have consistent meetings with him and the great people at the Air Mobility Command. And I just want to thank Benjamin for inviting me to participate in this event, and I'm really looking forward to it.
You rock, buddy. Love you, Jim. All right. Speaking of people who get it, we're going to move over to Shadman, who is here from CGI, also a very strategic partner of ours. For those that don't know, they're one of the world's largest solutions integrators. I'll, of course, let him tell you about it. But Shadman is deep into the blockchain and crypto space. He's they're very lucky to have him driving their Web3 efforts over there. And I just met him probably about 8 months ago, maybe a year's time. And seeing what he's working on has really got me excited about our partnership with them and where CGI is headed. All right, Shadman, over to you, buddy.
Thank you, Benjamin. So I'm Shadman Hussain. Been in this space for the last 6 years. My life's mission has become to bring Web3 and blockchain to the government and just mainstream adoption, right? That are beyond financial gambling. And as we were talking, Benjamin, you actually gave me the idea on how to actually position this. It's what I'm working on is building a Web3 toolkit for the federal government. So it's a complete agnostic approach into private blockchains, public blockchains, and we're creating what we're calling secure data fabric, integrating all of these tools and building solutions to solve our clients' problems. And I've worked with the defense industry heavily over the last 6 years with the DoD and a few other three-letter agencies that I shall not say, but it's really exciting to where we are in this space because I think all of us share that passion to bring Web3 to the federal government and these real-world use cases that have massive implications for our society and national security. And I'm really excited to get Constellation integrated within our product to drive some of those initiatives that, Constellation's blockchain can solve that other technologies can't. So I'm really excited to join this panel.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, as you know, with our ideation around the Universal Blockchain Toolkit, what you guys are doing with this blockchain toolkit, we're fundamental believers. There's not one protocol to rule them all. There's room for everybody. I think it should be a full force effort. And so this is another reason why we're strongly supporting what CGI is doing and want to be a part of it. So lastly, I met Mr. Chris Stone here through ETH Denver, and he stole my heart immediately. This is another one of those pioneers that is doing some of the most cutting edge stuff. When I've shown off some of the work he's done to the DoD, they got giddy. They were just like, wow, this is amazing. It just is so great, but we're really kind of freaked out of how to absorb this. So there's a lot of education needed. And Chris also is in Colorado, so he's a neighbor of mine. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy?
Hey, I'm Chris from CS Engineering. Started CS Engineering over 20 years ago. I was a Java developer, was working on satellites and systems of systems for NASA, and it spun out and kind of grew over the years. But what kind of brought me into the blockchain space early, fortunately, was I grew up around the title and escrow industry. If everyone's got a mortgage and knows all the steps and middlemen that are involved in that workflow, when I first heard of Ethereum and smart contracts, I said, oh, this is going to reinvent industries. It's just going to wipe out a lot of middlemen and on and on. And fast forward a few years and, started looking at enterprise workflows that DoD customers of ours were working on, and started saying, hey, maybe there's ways that we can use the blockchain and tokenization of assets to create some really interesting provenance proofs and things like that. So we'll get into that later. But that's how I got here.
Awesome, buddy. Well, I'm happy you're all here. Okay, well, let's dive in and get weird, right? So we're going to go ahead and tear it down before we build it up. So just everybody know that we're not here to talk dirt about the DoD, so don't get defensive, just to be pun there. But what are the biggest hurdles you see with the adoption of decentralized workflows? And I use decentralized workflows because it's bigger than blockchain. Blockchain plays a role in bringing a lot of the promise of edge computing, mesh networks, and so forth to fruition. So I like to kind of lump them under a decentralized approach because there's certain hurdles with that. We're going to go ahead and start off with Shadman on this one. So Shadman, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so the biggest hurdle I'm seeing right now is, I would say, a lack of education and misconceptions about these networks. So recently you saw a report coming out of DoD that kind of were talking about, hey, all the vulnerabilities in blockchains. And that just showed me that, hey, the DoD and a lot of these folks, they're trying to understand it, but they don't fully grasp it yet. So that education barrier is massive. I think that is a big hurdle. And the second one being the lack of standards. There are no regulation and standards that are set, and there's no clear paths. So we're literally creating these standards and these paths as we're inventing how to implement these systems. So it's just the matter of us being very early in these, but I'll let the rest of the panel add on to that.
That's great. Jim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so as you know, listen, I'm not an expert on decentralized workflows, but I think that there's a couple things. First of all, I want to put a caveat in, is that everybody that I deal with and work with in the DoD is salt of the earth. We've been so blessed with all these different projects, and we have great people to work with. And I think the challenge is in the DoD,
I'm gonna lower these guys down a little bit. I just want to let you guys know, because it's easy to gloss over. They're working with the DoD, the Department of Defense, right? This topic is all about national defense and integrating blockchain with the national defense. Huge, huge, guys.
Delivery and quantity. And basically, it allows us to contract with the federal government for up to $950 million. Well, that sounds wonderful, doesn't it? It sounds wonderful to me. However, and this is through what's called advanced battle management systems. Okay. And so we were awarded that a year and a half ago. What happens next in the process, there's other companies that are in this cohort of companies that is under the IDIQ. They put out what they call FOPPers, which is fair opportunity something, which is basically RFPs around different problem sets that they want to address. And it's a full tech stack. Okay. It's hardware, software, network. It could be anything. And they come out intermittently. We don't know what the schedule is. We have a limited time to put it together. And so here's little Konami, who has a piece of the equation, but we don't have the whole enchilada. So you have two options. Either you partner with a prime and become a sub, okay, which is a long tail to make that happen, especially when you don't know the timeline and you don't know what the requirements are around these proposals. Or Konami can go out and put that team, that tech stack together, and then go ahead and do a submission. But again, you still have those same challenges. But at the end of the day, if Konami puts in their proposal and Lockheed and Raytheon and General Dynamics puts in their proposal, well, who in the world at the DoD is going to choose Konami to lead this as opposed to the Raytheons and Lockheeds of the world? As I see, Benjamin, you heard us say this a number of times. Nobody's ever gotten fired by hiring McKinsey. Well, nobody at the DoD has ever gotten in trouble for hiring Lockheed or Raytheon.
Yeah,
Department of
totally
Defense.
I definitely see
Crazy.
that, and that's kind of why the SBIR program allows a lot of us to shine, right? And so, Chris, what are your thoughts on this? I know you've put some of this amazing technology that solves a lot of problems in front of folks, but it kind of sometimes stops there. What are your opinions?
Yeah, so a lot of it is user education still at this point, right? So they're like, they're taught from OCS, command and control, and to come in and say, hey, you decentralize everything, it's more secure, and it just kind of breaks their brain a little bit. And then you mix in folks that don't understand the difference between Bitcoin and blockchain, that they're two, unrelated, semi-related things. So we need decision makers to understand the tech stack. So we've got to do a better job of educating them to change their mental models. In the last few years, one of the things that we were involved in was, the whole DevSecOps push in the DoD, and especially on the Air Force side. And so they switched from, building their own client server things as they go to clouds and containers of software. But the problem is those things are cheap to deploy, right? Everyone throws something up on AWS and it doesn't cost them anything. And then it's very expensive to secure, and we've got to get them to flip that. So it's like, all right, we're going to do the groundwork it may be a little more expensive to build out this blockchain platform that we're going to deploy, but we're going to make it very expensive to attack. And if we can do that, then the floodgates will open and we're all going to be really busy.
Well said. Yeah, you mentioned education there, Brian. I know that you guys have a book of business around education that's near to your heart. But as far as this question, what is your opinion?
Yeah, I think sort of circling back and maybe pulling the thread a bit around what Shadman had mentioned around standards. I mean, as you're well aware, the government requires an ATO, or essentially authorization to operate, to put any solution on federal networks. So that's not just blockchain, but it's even down to sort of a combination of solutions, say with an AWS or more sort of, legacy system. So it's really around how do we secure this? And I think when you start to introduce new technology, certainly, and there are no standards in place, there's a little bit of friction there to be able to get to that point where you are able to use blockchain technology on production systems. But from a cultural perspective, I think, you touched upon a little bit around sort of the government being a little bit more risk averse, and there being, good reason behind that. I think if you look at sort of how commercial looks at it, sort of the mantra there is like move fast and break things. I mean, that's just not acceptable in federal, because a lot of the systems that the federal uses and sort of it maintains has sensitive data. It really can in a lot of secure and sort of regulated information. So I think around sort of transitioning that culture and getting a little bit more education around sort of what blockchain is, how it can be secure, right? So like it's not, what you see around sort of, some of the solutions and the headlines in the news are not, the end all be all of what blockchain can be, but there's actually opportunity there to be able to have secure blockchain and be able to leverage the attributes of the blockchain to drive solutions that are very much mission oriented. And I think that's where sort of the opportunity is, right? There's a friction of the ATO to be able to get in. But I think back to like sort of my MBA courses and sort of Porter's 5 forces model, and you talk about sort of being able to get in. And once you get in and you get past that sort of barrier to entry, there's profound opportunity. And we'll talk a little bit about, in greater detail in the following questions, I know. But I would say that blockchain has become where it was about 3-4 years ago, where it was much more sort of research labs, DARPA, ARPA, discussions around blockchain. I'm hearing it more and more among folks that are outside of research, which gives me a lot of hope for where this is going. And then listening to what Konami, CS Engineering and CGI Federal, with real proven sort of like mission-oriented solutions, sort of drives home that it's sort of just a matter of when this sort of takes off.
I love it. Yeah, we had a whole list here of DevSecOps maturity, regulation, standards, governance, education, but I do think culture is the one to double circle, right? Like if folks want to really think about a progression that's hard for the DoD to make, just look at what happened with on-premise to the cloud, right? That was a good example of, wow, we have to let go of trust a little bit. We're used to owning all this stuff on premise. Now we have to store it in places that we don't fully understand. We have to be educated on it. And centralized systems, of course, then the next set is how do you decentralize? Wait a minute, we can't have one area where we have to focus on it. We have to now deploy it across many different paradigms, which makes them nervous. So with that, talking about decentralizing, we had a panel earlier on IoT, which I think is very apropos for this next question, which is around data fabrics and how it relates to autonomous systems, right? So the DoD effort that Constellation is spearheading, for those that don't know, we call it Iron Spider, which stands for Secure Peer-to-Peer and Immutable Data Resilience. Konami is promoting their resilient data fabric, and CGI has their secure data fabric. So I want to just talk about general statements on that. Maybe let's start with Jim on your thoughts around this, because I know some of the cool stuff that you guys are doing really brings to life, low connectivity, contested environments, really hard use cases that brings kind of this resilient data fabric to the forefront.
Yeah, so I kind of what I want to do is just kind of do some qualifiers around data fabric, because it's a very loose term that is put out out there all the time. So because I actually had somebody say to me that they were moving data cloud to cloud and that was their data fabric. Well, that's really not what we do. We can do that, but that's not what we do. So first of all, our solution is designed to address 3 problems simultaneously, and it's data security, data protection, and data availability. So on the security side, we encrypt and fragment. And then those encrypted fragments are then distributed across a network of stores. So as the data comes in, it's instantly encrypted, fragmented, and then stored, encrypted, and fragmented. So it doesn't matter where you store it. It doesn't matter what networks you use to pass it around, because it's only decrypted at runtime by authorized users. And so then there's the data availability piece. So you need to think of our data fabric as kind of like a web of connectivity, because basically what it is we can take advantage of any type of different transmission resources, right down to peer-to-peer. So if there's different devices that are in the group, in the peer group of the data fabric, we can actually hop that data device to device. And we're moving into a world where basically anything that is powered by electricity is going to become a node to be able to collect data, process data, transmit data, or all the above. So we take advantage of all that, and we can basically, what we can do is we can transition gracefully in a battle space situation to move the data to the edge, to move it through different networks as networks degrade or collapse, to make sure that it is available for the warfighter when they need it and where they need it. So let's talk about autonomous systems, okay? Well, so out of the three things we provide, security, protection, and availability, one is the most important, it's availability, because it doesn't matter how secure or how protected it is if you can't get it where it's needed, when it's needed. But there is actually a step, and you and I, Benjamin, have talked about this before that, okay? Because the data needs to be really accurate and trustworthy, okay? If it isn't, you can't facilitate autonomous systems. So, and that's a big piece of what we're doing with Constellation is doing this integration so that we have, this consensus node generation around the data so that you can actually run these AI programs with confidence and actually run autonomous systems through that. And so we're really excited about the combination of the two technologies.
Rock on. Me too. Shadman, tell me about, like I said, I got a really great demo recently of what you're working on. Blew my mind. I think it's really a great approach. Tell me a little bit about your opinion on this question.
Yeah, so I mean, this idea about integrating and decentralized systems and bringing real world usage on this, my opinion is right now there's very little. I would say there's no blockchain that can actually scale to meet these demands of millions of transactions or hundreds of thousands of transactions per second that you can potentially have in an autonomous system. So, we have this patent around attribute-based access control on blockchains. So one of the things, the blockchain trilemma, you have the security, scalability, and decentralization. The tool that we're working on is trying to solve that trilemma problem because of any type of production system needs to have that solved. So using this solution, what we had demoed today, demoed to you, few weeks ago, that solution can be integrated with Constellation as that blockchain layer. So imagine, putting a node up in space on a satellite to track everything that's happening and trusting every touch point. So this is one of the initiatives that we're looking at using Constellation for using the consensus layer of Constellation to make this happen. So there are certain use cases where no other blockchain can actually solve that, but this DAG-based approach actually solves a lot of these issues. So really excited for the integration point within Constellation under the hood that will power secure data fabric.
I love it. Hey, Brian, we're going to let you answer this question. And Chris, I'm going to hit you with the next question because I have got one staged up for you. So Brian, tell us your opinion on this.
I think in general, and sort of speaking about data mesh in general, I think that, that's become a much more common discussion we've had with folks within the federal market. The reality is that the federal market operates not in siloed data sources, but across, multiple data sets, sort of traditional sort of databases, unstructured data, semi-structured data. And I think blockchain sort of coming into being another sort of data set to work from. So I think within that type of environment, you need to be focused around interoperability, right? So you need to be able to connect into existing systems, be able to bring multiple data sets together and be able to process those and be able to deliver outcomes efficiently. So I think, my sort of focus around data mesh in general is that, is that it's so important to the federal government to be able to have these data mesh capabilities, and having blockchains that are able to sort of plug in to that are interoperable is absolutely critical to making that work.
Wow, it's great. I'm glad you mentioned that, because when we, won our contract, and every time we really talk with the folks over the DoD on our solution, the area that they soft circle really is the interoperability. I mean, that's really what this is about: is how can you rapidly share information securely so you can make quick decisions. So I'm glad you brought that up. All right, we're going to go to the next question, and I'm going to start out with Chris on this one. When thinking through the lens of national defense solutions, how do you see cryptocurrency fitting in? What's the biggest opportunity and the biggest risks? I mean, from your opinion, since I know you have a leg up on this, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thanks. Yeah, so the biggest opportunity, and I used the phrase earlier, the tokenization of assets, right? So you have fungible tokens that are, dollar to dollar, right? And then you have non-fungible tokens that are unique things. Right now, we think of NFTs as pieces of art or things like that, but a contract award could be an NFT, right? That collection of documents, and it's sent to a contractor, and then it's traceable and immutable. And so once you start tokenizing everything, there, it kind of unlocks all these other things that you can do that you weren't able to do before in, the typical database client server world. And one of the things I'm working on is actually mirroring contract transactions using ERC20 tokens, and it's showing a lot of ability to capture fraud, waste, and abuse, and tag sanctioned and disbarred individuals in our supply chain in real time. Not 5 years later when GAO does an audit. So that's it's a lot of cool stuff that's kind of be unlocked. And you may have heard about how the cryptocurrency has been used to support Ukraine, and they're moving faster and giving more money than the UN. And that was pretty amazing to see unfold. The risk, like one of the biggest risks that I'm kind of like big in my head right now is China. They're putting together what they call the blockchain-based service network, BSN, and they're kind of doing it through shadow companies, the Chinese government, but they're basically saying, all right, we're going to build out this BSN and let anyone around the world, any business, use this, right? And we all know, just like if you're familiar with how TikTok is, a Chinese product and it's vulnerable, and they're just scooping up data in real time. We need to get ahead of that. I mean, and the DoD needs to decide, what are the approved blockchain platforms to use, not just for DoD, because DoD kind of is the tip of the spear, and then the rest of the federal government will follow what works for the warfighter. Because if we don't figure out these standards and these tech stacks and how we're going to do it right first, our adversaries will do it, and either directly or indirectly, and it's going to create a mess that we have to clean up.
Man, I'm glad you brought that up, because, Jim, of course, knows this because he's probably heard my briefing more times than he wants to, but I have a dedicated slide to the BSN, the Blockchain Service Network out of China, to really underscore that the ship has sailed. This is mission critical. This isn't nice to have or something that's percolating. Kind of to Brian's earlier points, that some of the stuff we saw 4+ years ago, we are now at the main stage where we're now having to catch up versus be first to strike. So Shadman, I want to know your opinion. I know that you've been a crypto holder for quite a while and have an opinion on this topic. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the space for the last 6 years, so I really got into this blockchain through the crypto rabbit hole, right? And what opportunity I'm seeing is this the combination of DeFi, NFTs, all of these coming together. Like Chris and Jim mentioned, the tokenization of everything. So with our product, we're tokenizing data, algorithms, visualizations, everything coming from disparate sources as NFTs. Right. So now imagine what you can do after you tokenize something. You can plug that into DeFi protocols that are existing today, and have that end-to-end visibility. Now, that's a big opportunity for the government, because you get to
listen, guys, let me mute them really quickly here. Listen to how important this is. China is creating their BSN, so their own blockchain. China is. So Constellation is positioning themselves right now to play catch up or to get ahead of it for the US. Do you guys understand how crazy that is to position yourself into a project that is hand in hand working with the US Department of Defense to get ahead and be the leading forefront so that, like a country like China whose vulnerabilities doesn't just absolutely wreck the rest of the planet by releasing their own blockchain and having a monopoly on that. So as of right now, Constellation is, guys, like I'm having a hard time like trying to explain it in words just how big and crazy this is. But when let's take a step back from Constellation really quick and talk about the DeFi projects that we're all a part of, like the degens, right? And you listen and you watch how that team is either on docks or they're hiding in the shadows or things are just going on that just is questionable. You can't really put your hand on it. What is going on with this project that I'm invested in? And then you shift it to this panel. Damn, I'm not even showing my face. And then you shift it to this panel or this project, and every single person is doxxed, every single person is showing their face, every single person is talking in great detail about the technology of all this. Night and day difference, guys. Night and day difference between DeFi, degen projects, and a true, real project like Constellation. It's crazy. I wish I could enunciate and find better words to try and describe it, but it's crazy. This project is crazy.
Impact the government. Feel free to use that as an opportunity to answer the question as well. So let's go and start with Brian on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as it relates to identity, I think is a big thing. I think that there are a lot of opportunities around identity within the federal space, particularly us that have gone through sort of the clearance process. I mean, I think, you talk about the OPM hacks. I think blockchain provides a potential solution to be able to, secure people's identity in a much more efficient and effective manner. So I think that's something that we're certainly, looking forward to, exploring with a lot of our clients. I think from a building perspective, I mean, I think our biggest opportunity and sort of what we're working in hard around is around bridging sort of Web 2 and Web 3, right? I think when we're going to be looking at sort of a forward-looking environment within the federal space, I don't think it's going to be an either or, similar to how things are both on-prem and in cloud. I think it's going to be sort of another solution that we can bring into the fray and sort of apply utility where it makes sense with blockchain, while leveraging some of the existing technology where we have more effective solutions to be able to solve that. So that's sort of where we're focused.
I love it. Great answer. The bridge is such a great example of where we're at right now. Jim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. So I've been doing this for a little over 3 years now, and 2.5 of it really just kind of dedicated to working in the federal space with the DoD. And so, yeah, it is around impact. But, we've been really fortunate because you can't boil the ocean, on these type of things. We find specific need sets and the people that are out there doing the work. Those are the people we deal with. Finding out problems and there are actual outcomes. And I think if you look at the impacts that consistently across all of our projects, the biggest things that come up is productivity capabilities. 2 would be mission support, and then finally be saving lives. And those are the projects that we have right now. So for instance, we're doing digital engineering. We're part of a number of different efforts around being able to field aircraft quicker, to move from 25 years down to 2.5 years to do that. And so that's huge. That provides new capabilities, across the board. The same thing with, mission support with combat search and rescue. We have a number of other different things, and with combat search and rescue, it's about saving lives, because they just don't do this for the Air Force. They do it for all the different agencies. And so those, I think it's really positive from our point of view, because we are actually addressing real problems. We can't solve every problem or all the problems, and if we attempted to do that, we would fail. But we are being successful around these specific use cases, and that's really encouraging.
I love it. Awesome. Chris, we're going to go with you next, and then we'll end with Shadman.
Yeah, so I'll try to be quick here. One of the most obvious use cases for a blockchain solution is supply chain management, and just between that and the tokenization of assets, as we keep talking about, we're going to be able to catch our adversaries earlier if they've infiltrated our supply chain, whether it's entities, companies, people, and to Jim's point, war fighters' lives will be saved. So you talk about Oracle, the ROI thing, in the national defense space. Are you protecting U.S. interests? Or are you protecting our war fighters? And that's like where our headspace has to be. Not so much driven by the bottom line. It's those things. That's how they measure things, and that's a different paradigm shifts. And that's like kind of once you start working in that space, it's hard to get out of it, because to me, after all these years, if I had to go work someplace where I was selling licenses or something like that, just trying to make money every quarter, it would be so alien to me, because all you care about is you see men in uniform, women in uniform, and you just like thank them because we live in a great place, and we want to keep it that way. So
I love it. We do live in a great place. All right, Shadman, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, let's do it. So, I mean, this space has been, all about collaboration at the speed of mission. How do you let DoD defense work with commercial partners, and then maybe universities and parties that don't trust each other? How do you enable to trust the untrusted? And that is truly what I feel like blockchain enables. And I'm super excited to see this direction going forward, because of the number of agencies and departments that I'm talking to that are excited about a tool like this, that they can come on at the speed of mission. And that's all this is about. The world is moving so fast. We have the monkeypox, now it's coming towards a pandemic, right? So think about, how do we collaborate fast, quickly with people we don't trust to stop or prevent things from happening in the first place? So that we're almost at this tipping point, in the hype cycle, where things are coming to actual use. And building something like this is super exciting, because that this will save lives and potentially keep our country the way it is, and keep us at number one spot. It's the best place to live.
The best place to live, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here. I completely agree. So, Shadman, Jim, Chris, and Brian, I sincerely appreciate you, gentlemen. I'm glad we have a relationship. Working with you is amazing. And I believe this unlikely group of folks that have come together, because blockchain is a team sport, to solve these issues is going to be paramount. So I want to thank this panel. We are going to be taking a break, so feel free to take a bio break, whatever you need. We're going to be back on with our CEO, Ben Jorgensen, to talk about core updates here. I don't know, maybe in a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know exactly how long it is going to be, but hold on to your seats, and we'll be right back here with Constellation's HyDef Conference. Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Thanks.
Here it is. The next one's the core updates for Constellation. All right, so they're going to be back. Bullish. This is a real project, a real company, a real tech company solving real world problems that is partnered with the Department of Defense, saving lives. You heard it. Not making that shit up. Oh, it's core updates. If you guys are just tuning in, just a reminder that we are getting into the next person talking is the CEO, Ben Jorgensen, to talk about the core updates of everything going on with Constellation. So there's a lot of anticipation for this next one. Alright, you guys, I'm going to take a quick bio break. I will be right back. Yeah, Ben is coming up, guys. He's gonna talk about core updates on Constellation. This is the one you shouldn't miss. Grab some snacks, grab some drinks. Pay attention. Damn it.
And from our little break. So before we hit lunch break and a little pause in the afternoon before we begin our afternoon session, I'm going to give a little update on Constellation. I think people are already like tuning in to anticipate that I'm going to leak something because we all know that I have a tendency to overshare at earlier points and then the whole marketing team gets frustrated. But we've already had a pretty eventful morning. I've been pretty amazed just kind of having this like reflection, and I'm going to go into that in a second. But God damn, that Benjamin Diggles is a good looking guy. Jeez, can we all just give it a hand? Like, that is an amazing panel he put together. So thank you for everybody that showed up here today early in the morning on a Saturday, tuned in to listen to like hard tech, IoT, defense. Like, sign me up for that morning. But I think it was really, really powerful. So now I'm going to give a little introduction into Constellation of what we're doing and where we're going. This isn't like your traditional Ben presentation where I do this visionary stuff and we get everybody amped. That's what this whole conference is about. That's why you all are here. That's why you're tuning in. This is more about kind of restating what we're doing, why we're doing it, and showing kind of highlights of our ecosystem. Thomas, you want to hit me with the next slide? But before I begin, let me make an introduction. I think there's a lot of new people here today. I'm Ben Jorgensen. I'm the CEO of Constellation Network. And what's amazing, it's been about 4 years that I've been CEO of this company. And it's really kind of marks a pretty powerful date right now. And I've operated the company from a position that I kind of want to share with everybody and really humanize this day of technology that we're hearing. We've heard so much deep tech, but there's so many amazing people behind this, including the community that's behind this. And I wanted to share a little bit on like how I run a company and why, because I think it's one of our massive differentiators from other people in the ecosystem. We're not a bunch of robots. In fact, we took a different position on how we wanted to govern and run a company. And that's kind of had a real big impact on the community and this following that we've created and kind of the love and support that we've gotten. And one of the books that I really ask everybody at Constellation to read when they join is called A Beginner's Mind by Lao Tzu, or I'm sorry, the chapter is A Beginner's Mind by Lao Tzu of the Tao Te Ching, one of the oldest written publications in the world from China. And the idea of a beginner's mind is always to approach life with compassion, humility, and love and education, and always be learning. And that's something that I really want this next phase of Constellation and our community to embrace. I see in the channels people, saying, oh, look at this ecosystem not doing it, or it's failing, or this person's failing. But I want cohesion. I want to see that the next phase of blockchain and the evolution is around coming together. It's about creating comprehensive solutions with other chains and other ecosystems. This isn't about siloed events. And so I kind of invite us to take a new approach towards compassion and creating more comprehensive solutions that entail all of the different technologies in the space to really make this whole space blossom. And so I'd like to see more of that power come out and really be an express, much like we do at Constellation, which has created an environment that invites people into our company, that they want to work with us hand over fist because of the level of trust that we bring. Next slide. And so in doing that, I started going back and I sat through this slide deck yesterday and I pulled up, I was thinking, God, when did we do TechCrunch Disrupt in 2018? In 2018, we did TechCrunch Disrupt. We had just raised some money and we thought we knew everything. And it was an amazing moment. I went on YouTube and I found these clips that nobody's watched. It was amazing. And I listened to the way that we already commanded leadership. And if anybody had watched this in the space, it was amazing to see that we are already creating trust in our ecosystem. This panel I put together, you'll see me on the right. I think that was pre-tattoos. So that means pre-stress of Constellation. And I now have longer hair. And we've got Shasta Ventures. We had the global director of IBM Blockchain. We had the CMO of Mozilla, all talking about what do you do more than an ICO on a blockchain? Like that was the hot topic at the time. And we're still very early on. We are connectors. And you see this post that I saw is like the first comment was from 4 months ago. We're early. We're just being discovered. Next slide. And interesting enough, Wyatt, our CTO, co-founder, architect, and Ryle Goenhausen did their talk. And their talk was called Running a Node on a Distributed Ledger. And I listened to this talk. And this talk was in 2018, once again, and it's exactly the same thing we're talking about today. They're talking about consensus as a service, fat protocol issues, nonlinear protocols, scale-free hierarchy. Like these things were like so out of people's minds, they didn't even know what they were talking about. And that's what Constellation's still talking about today. And now we're launching developer documentation to back up everything we've said. And even this video, which I think is one of the most articulate pieces in technology for crypto and decentralization, really hasn't been viewed by more than 50 people. And there are 3 comments that go back as 8 months. So we're still in this amazing moment. And these were some really fond memories that I have of doing TechCrunch Disrupt and acting like we were this really big, mature company. And we weren't, and yet we're still early and we have such a fascinating following. Next slide. Well, all those things came in. And so I flash forward to today. Any of the images showing? So I flash forward to today and we've got, there's supposed to be a bunch of images around some headlines. We've been featured. I wrote a Medium blog, post last week around these issues, talking about the fat protocol issue, that there's too much value on the protocol layer, a massive switch from HTTP where there was no value on the protocol layer to know too much when we look at Ethereum and some of these networks that have too much value, and how Constellation's trying to rebalance the value between the application layer and the protocol layer. And that's our vision. And so this piece kind of really set a tone for where we're going, but it's nothing more than what we've been saying. And so our ecosystem's finally ready to blossom. We've been highlighted on Fortune, ABC, Hacker Noon. We've got more press coming out. NASDAQ did a piece on us. We're really starting to make a noise around what we've been talking about for 4 years. Next slide. And so today I've broken down the core updates in really kind of 3 layers in a way, but it really comes down to 2 layers. First is the L0 update. So after 4 years of development, we're really on the cusp of seeing industry revolutionary change, like massive industry, other industries being impacted by this technology that we haven't seen today. And this is all starting with a lot of our work around the layer 1 and providing documentation for people to build applications, configurable, flexible applications. You aren't forced into a certain framework like other networks. We're actually giving developers complete configurability to match existing tools in data management. Why is that important? Because data management in Web 2 is a huge industry. Just look at Facebook, Google, the companies like Databricks that provide all these toolings are billions of dollars around data. But crypto and blockchain don't have that tooling and configurability. But with layer one documentation that we're releasing, people will have the configurability to match what they're doing in data management and add immutability with blockchain. And the third area that I'm going to talk about is our company brand updates. We're going through a shift. We're going through a growth. We're releasing a new website, a new vision, and this all comes around the documentation. So it's time to build. Next slide. So the L0 updates, next slide, is really about developer updates. I'm very excited. This has been so much work behind the scenes. I mean, this is where 4 years have culminated. 2 years ago, we launched our mainnet 1.0, which was really kind of our MVP to get DAG running on our own network. And now we're at mainnet 2.0, where we're releasing our developer documentation today. This is our first stage of releasing our developer documentation, and this will continue to grow and evolve. And we have mainnet 2.0 coming out with our Genesis block. And so what's really big today that we haven't released is people will actually be able to start to build on us. So people will be able to go to the website, access the documentation hub, and there they're going to be able to see state channel, the way to set up a state channel, how to start configuring and thinking about your application. You're going to be able to see code snippets for developers. And early on in the release of our developer documentation, people will be able to spin a cluster up for recording data from a state channel. They'll be able to send test transactions, and they'll be able to explore how to use a Tesselation code base. These are really big evolutions. Additionally, they'll be able to see how to mint an L0 token, examples, instructions for spinning up a node. And so this is all living document that's going to evolve. And this is a fun point because we're all going to look back on how like nascent this all is and see how it evolves, much like Spark, much like Kafka. These core programming languages and communities started out very simple. And that's where Constellation is. Next slide. And so the future going forward is really building through community, through governance, and third-party developers. We're working with a handful of people that have developer groups from other great communities that have been built, and they're looking for the next great thing. With documentation really invites that for the first time. Like I'm having conversations with amazing developers from ecosystems that they've built from scratch, and we're at that point. And so what's coming up? After this documentation, we have our Genesis block coming up. We've got the Tesselation SDK that's coming up. We're going to initiate security through executor validation layer. We're going to introduce the ACI. This is the application chain interface, much like what you see with an ERC20 standard. This is where standards will be able to be accessed. And we're working with various developer groups to see what standards they want to put into that ACI. And so once that ACI is ready, the people will truly be able to build applications in a very easy way, in a flexible and configurable way. Next slide. And so now shifting away from the deep tech side and the updates, we're going to go to the ecosystem. And we've already started to hear from some of our ecosystems today, but I'm going to kind of give a range of a handful that we've selected out of the 75 that are working with us on some amazing achievements. Next slide. Okay, this is not the deck, but okay. So the first up is Alchemy Exchange. You heard from the Alchemy Exchange today, and they're getting ready to launch their real-time bidding platform. This is pretty amazing that they're bringing the consumer into the fold of an advertising transaction between advertiser and publisher. We're seeing them apply DeFi principles into advertising, where they're taking advertising revenue and translating that into a crypto economy. Another project that's building on top of us is Chainraise. Chainraise is very interesting. They're doing a crowdfunding platform that's focused on tech startups that are in the Web3 space. And why I think this is different than other projects is because not everybody is ready to buy cryptocurrency. They're not ready to jump into the early stage backing of cryptocurrency. They don't know how to hold it. They're not sure if they're going to get tokens distributed at a pre-sale. They don't really know. And so Chainraise is taking a different approach than traditional traditional crowdfunding platforms that they want to go to Web3 companies, introduce investors to crypto, and then get them acquainted with cryptocurrency. So I think this is a very novel approach to fundraising that's built more on community efforts and focused on Web3 initiatives. It looks like we're having some difficulty. We're good. Okay, without slides. The Void, another project creating a NFT marketplace on Constellation, built on Constellation. They're focused on introducing enterprise into the NFT space. They're also helping us build the NFT standard that will go into the ACI. Man, this is tough. This is still the old slide deck. Okay, I'm gonna just do this from memory. All right, this is the old slide deck. But anyways, so and we're live. This is great. Wow. So Cyberleet, another company I've worked very closely with. They're working in the gaming industry. Their focus is to initiate anti-cheat mechanisms into online gaming platforms. I've worked very closely with these people. They're getting ready to launch on the Lattice Launchpad on August 15th. They're doing an AMA on Lattice on August 11th. And I'm very excited about this project. These guys have incredible technology. I've seen the demo. I've seen real stuff work. I see how it's going to be tied into Constellation. This is a really cool moment for them. Double Dice. So Double Dice is a project that launched several months ago, and they're focused on decentralized pool predictions. And what's interesting about that is they're trying to initiate online, I don't want to say online gambling, but online gameplay. And they're creating online casinos, but it's all around prediction pools. And so today they've got prediction pools around the companies that are going to be launching on Constellation. So we'll have some pitches in the afternoon from all the projects that went through the flight program, and people will be able to go through their prediction pool and vote on who they want to win. So it's really cool to actually see some of this Web3 technology come to the forefront today. So, this is great. There we go. All right. Hey, where are we? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, man, there we go. There's the right one. All right. So, no, I don't even know. Keep going to the other companies. Yeah, thank you. I just talked about Double Dice. FXDX was our first. This is so funny. I love it. I'm sweating. Creating a DeFi application, creating derivatives on the blockchain. They had about $1 million staked in Lattice. They launched a couple weeks ago and did about $19 million in trade volume. A really good win for our ecosystem, and somewhere where I really see the focus of Constellation.
That's pure right there. That's tough live. That's why I'm so scared to go live all the time.
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm about to. All right. GeoJam. Oh man, an economy where we all know GeoJam. GeoJam was one of the projects that I work closely with. They've got an amazing video coming up today where they initiate the initial. They talk through a lot of their new things coming up, such as their new application. And they've had a lot of big wins in the short time that they've been live. I was invited to be on a panel with them and Mariah Carey, where they did an NFT launch that was wildly successful. Sam was featured as one of the top entrepreneurs in LA. Really amazing stuff. And their Jamcella event was written up across Entertainment Weekly, across the board, and it brought a lot of fun to this crypto space, which is what we need. It's the gaming element. It's the excitement that's happening. And I can't give them, I'm giving them a huge hug as well as, a huge thanks. And I'm going to take care of you guys, but I feel like I've already done that. But thank you guys so much for hosting us today. Next slide. Greenheart CBD received a project that we talked about a long time ago. They received their hemp license in the US, which is really exciting. They were able to, I think the drinking game's going on too with the exciting thing. They also received their legal opinion on their CBD token. So now they're getting ready to launch on centralized exchanges. Jennyco, the team has really been behind the scenes in building an app around controlling your healthcare data and tying that to a cryptocurrency. They've already raised a little over $1 million with very little awareness. So I'm seeing like some really good traction and momentum from them. Next slide. I've already mentioned the Void token events. Token events have went through flight program V1. And they've been behind the scenes raising money, building MVPs, getting launch partners all around, making the consumer experience in stadiums more easy, more gamified, more fun. And they've been working closely behind the scenes as like their core developer team around getting these initial products out. And so, what I want to really highlight on token events and what I see in a lot of the Constellation ecosystem that's very different are people tackling real world problems, whether it's IoT enable it or enabling the fan in a stadium like the Dodgers Stadium to engage more deeply with their experience. They're taking on really large efforts that don't necessarily mean ROI in the DeFi sense, in the sense that we think of, but these are industry changing companies. They're bringing a lot of innovation, and more so than just bringing the innovation and technology, they're also in the forefronts doing the service of telling about blockchain technology. They're articulating the value to all these people that don't know about it. They're on the front lines taking that leap of faith as an early adopter and evangelizing this technology. And we have to give homage to all these companies that are taking this leap of faith when we're at early stage of companies. Next slide. And what you heard from recently, one of my new approaches as kind of leading this company is to be more collaborative with other ecosystems, less about putting other ecosystems down. As I mentioned, we're early. We're trying to figure this out. Every ecosystem's figuring out their role. Solana's figuring out their role. Avalanche, Algorand, like all of these big players are figuring out where they fit, and applications are figuring out where they can plug them in and go. And I think that's an important thing. And what I love about working with 1K Labs and Savana, which you saw a video of, is they're taking this mindset around omni-chain. How do we use every chain? How do we tap into the Solanas, which they're building on? How do they use Constellation to create interoperability of NFTs between all these ecosystems? That's the mindset that we want to have. We're de-siloing from the previous years of cryptocurrency and blockchain. You don't have to pick a layer 0 or a layer 1. Use them all. Tap into the communities. Get excited. See the value that they have, their design choices, their approach. And use that to your ability. You're the layer 1. You're the application. You can dictate this and use every aspect. And we all have different features. Like there's no one person to win all of this. And that's what I want to really express in this kind of evolution. And Constellation's business strategy going forward is going to be going out and looking at these companies that are taking omni-chain approaches. How are they working with other people, and how can they work with us more succinctly? Next slide. Go back up to the lattice slides. But when you have all these companies, where do you access them? Well, Lattice. Lattice was launched somewhere around last year, and really becomes the interface to accessing different stages of liquidity for all these projects. Meaning, how do you back, how do you support, how do you discover all these new projects? Well, Lattice was our effort of creating that user experience to define how people can interact with a lot of these projects. Successfully, one of the projects that we've had are, if you're not able to have a node on the Constellation network, you can take 250K DAG and be able to stake that in soft nodes. You do this through the Lattice platform. Amazingly enough, this screenshot was taken from yesterday. We've seen about 50% of all circulating supply get staked every month. The first of every month, nearly 50% of the circulating supply is staked. That is not just about the tokenomics, it's about the ethos that we're expressing. It's the community passion that believes in what we're doing And it's probably the aspiration to get a node because all these people are hoping to get a node. So connect your, very simply, we made it so simple for people when they don't have to spin up a node, they can connect your Stargazer wallet and then they can stake their DAG. And it's as simple as that. And it happens on the first of every month. Next slide. And Door Traffic Miner. So we released our Door Traffic Miner. You've heard us talk a lot about this. This is the piece of hardware that collects foot traffic data, passes it over the Helium network, and rewards people in DAG. We've kind of done, it's been a very stealth project to date. We've distributed about 7.6 million DAG as a reward for registering. We're increasing those rewards in DAG every month. About 597 registered devices. So when you purchase a DTM, you get an NFT, you stake it, and you start getting rewards. We've secured partnerships with Foursquare to be a data producer around the data that's collected. We're working with Helium Network to process that data. And we're in the process of designing our own app that allows individuals to do firmware updates, manage their data, and manage their rewards. And we're getting ready to start shipping that in Q4. So increase our data footprint, check out the DTM on Lattice. Next slide. And as I mentioned, CyberLead's going to be launching on the Lattice Launchpad in the next week. Next slide. And something I wanted to reveal to everybody is Lattice 2.0. Not only are we doing mainnet 2.0 with developer documentation, but we're launching Lattice 2.0 called the Lattice Gateway. What you can expect from us is that we're doing a complete new rewrite of Lattice. This has been a lot of fun, and I say that tongue in cheek. But the logo is coming together. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And most importantly, we're getting ready to launch VELTX, our governance token for airdrops. And this is really important because this is going to unlock so much more value to LTX holders. And what VELTX is called Vote Escrow Governance. Basically, people are able to lock LTX and receive a VELTX, which gives them access to governance, voting, participation, who goes on the launch pad, who doesn't go on the launch pad, what products, features, technology they want to see, real governance at scale, while also receiving rewards from companies that launch on the launch pad, that do staking programs, that really kind of gets them everybody involved. So the VELTX will be launched in the end of Q3, and I think is a huge step forward on really bringing governance and compliance into the forefront. Next slide. Let's go down to, there we go. And so to kind of round out everything, and then I'm going to release everybody for lunch, and they're going to have a great time. I know I'm going to have a drink. This is company brand updates. Where are we going? Next slide. So we've done a lot of evolution with the Stargazer wallet. And, a lot of people look at the Stargazer wallet and say, hey, this is a MetaMask competitor. It's not a MetaMask competitor. It's its own thing. It's its own product. We don't want to go in that world. That's their world. We want to find out new ways to work with MetaMask. But in Stride, we've made some huge milestones with it. We've provided ERC20 support in the last month. Coming soon, we're offering ETH2 support, layer 2 support, such as Polygon, BSC, Avalanche. And today I'm excited to announce that we've done an integration and we're launching the integration with the BitFi hardware wallet integration, where you'll also be able to hold DAG as well as do soft node staking all within the hardware wallet. And coming up this month, we're launching a completely new website that navigates people in a completely new way. It shares our vision in a new way. It puts developer documentation in the forefront. We're getting ready to launch a Datapreneur Academy, which is really about educating the masses on how to come into blockchain. We're launching a co-branded product and joint venture with Ashbury
$200
earlier today to make it easier for startups that want to launch a token and don't want to go through all that legal headache, that they want to get listed on an IDO, don't want all that legal headache, which is a lot, to make it super easy for people to take them from ideation to launch, and everybody knows that they can do it in a compliant, easy, and financially sustainable way. Next slide. So where are we going? Social is going to be a big one. I believe that social, and we're already in the works. So everything that's listed in here is stuff that's already in the works. And I'm kind of giving you the kind of breadcrumbs of the future. Social is largely underrepresented in crypto. Discoverability across projects is extremely hard. There's no virality around crypto projects today and their applications. We need to invite that to see mainstream adoption of Web3, just like Web2 has done. Governance is going to be leading the way. We're starting to see that with Coinbase and the SEC doing an investigation. This is a really big aspect for everybody to be on the horizon of what we can do and being in a compliant way. We want to be the leaders and invite governance in a way that you haven't all imagined yet. And the final layer to Constellation where we're going is application development. Build, build, build. This documentation that we're releasing today is really just the start of it all. It's going to get way easier to build applications. And our focus is really not just to build Web3 applications that are isolated to Web3, but see the convergence between Web2 development and Web3, which is going to have the huge spike that we've all been looking for in crypto. It's live right now. Next slide. So to round it out, I wanted to have my Oscar moment. There's so many thank yous, and the last 2 weeks has been so amazing to see this company come together. Actually, the ecosystem come together. We were supposed to do this event in San Diego, and I said, "F that. Let's make this like a satellite engagement. Let's gamify it. Let's activate everybody in our ecosystem. GeoJam hosting a party, hosting an event. We've got satellite events going on across the world. We wanted to make it more decentralized. That's what we envisioned. And it's really come together in such a powerful way, except for my slides. I have to thank my family for letting me keep it weird, my co-founders for being weirder than I am, and the Constellation employees and team, the protocol team, just doing the unimaginable, product team, learning how to get into DeFi, business, marketing, changing the way that we think, and the projects and use cases that we bring into our ecosystem. Our third-party developers, like the list goes on. A huge hug to Altif and Andrea for making this such an awesome day. As you guys can read the list. Oh yeah, and I want to say thank you for all the people that said we couldn't do it. There's a lot of you out there. And everybody that showed up to make this happen. So next slide. So how do you get involved? Let's all get together through collaboration and get us to the top 10, right? It's not just about Constellation's core team. It's not just about the developers' core team.
Top 10.
This is now about everybody taking a role and making this a global ecosystem. It's about collaboration with other ecosystems. It's about getting involved and supporting each product and their vision, right? Don't just think that you're picking the winners. Help them be a winner, right? Don't just wait for everybody and heckle them and give them FUD because they're delayed on so much. This stuff is so broken. If you guys are actual developers and you see how broken all this stuff is, it's tough. Web3 tech is tough, and it's not all ironed out and figured out. So attend a flight program, attend the Datapreneur program, come to a hypergraph hour, get educated, just step up to the plate and start building. So let's go have a fun rest of the afternoon. Thank you, everybody.
All right. They're going to be back for lunch. I'm just going to keep this thing streaming. I'm taking a look at this BitFi wallet, you guys. Take a look at this. It's $200. It looks kind of sketchy, to be honest. I'm not liking how it looks. But it's a hardware wallet support of choice right now for Constellation. I really wish they did. I really wish they did Keystone.
and we'll be right back. Okay, I'm not sure when they're gonna reactivate this. I know they're just let's take a look at the reception here. Oh yeah. So probably another 30 minutes. We'll get the future of DeFi, sponsored by Curvents, which is a whole bunch of Anon degens. 4:40, we're gonna get Tech Fireside Chat, sponsored by the Node Army. That should be cool. Matthias is gonna be in there, co-founder of Constellation. 5 o'clock, we're gonna get the pitch competition. That's Diggles. 6:15, jump into the future of the creator economy, GeoJam. I'm excited for that one. Founders Roundtable, so that's going to have everyone in there in the Constellation team. So, yeah, we still got an action-packed evening, all right? So, this is a marathon, everyone. Don't burn yourself out. Again, I'm treating it as if I was there anyways because I was supposed to be there today. So, we're just going to chill it out. Break for lunch. We'll be back in 30 minutes-ish.
real quick, how do you see inflation affecting liquidity across DeFi on these different chains and moving forward?
Well, it's always a bit of a moving target, inflation, but with rising inflation, you'd expect the velocity of money to decrease. So what I mean by that is less money sloshing around between chains and protocols. So this can take the form of affecting a bunch of different areas. Things such as the most obvious, like daily trading volume in tokens, but also things even such as TVL. You know, most recently we saw Savana have this news drop of one individual essentially, you know, building a few protocols that socketed into one another and, you know, opening up about 70% of the Solana really where, you know, a lot of the developers get their, you know, revenue stream from as they're building these things out.
Yeah, it makes sense. So when it comes to this inflation and liquidity attraction and stuff, there's some interesting things going on in the Ethereum ecosystem that I think set the kind of tone for what should be built all around Constellation, right? And one of those things that I like to replicate, and it's also prevalent in the changes in Lattice, right, with the VE LTX token and governance, is like the curve flywheel, right? They introduced this vote escrow system and this financial incentive behind governance, right? It was like controlling gauge weights, emissions, etc. So around that, we saw a lot of composability, and I think composability, going back to Ben's point earlier, is really important, right, in this industry. There's not going to be just one clear winner. It's not going to be just an Ethereum or a Solana or an Avalanche. It's all of us working together to solve the same goal, right? And so creating that composability across various, you know, products and chains alike is very key. And so when talking about like the Curve flywheel, you have an interesting dynamic where Curve comes into the game. They introduce this vote escrow model around governance, and that governance essentially controls emissions for the CRV token, right? Which